Hello, spooks and kooks. Welcome back to our Hectorum, a spooky Halloween edition. I'm sure it's gonna be a great session. JC has given us some ominous vibes as far as I'm concerned. So I'm terrified. Let's go.
Hmm.
Do we have Halloween in the budget?
We definitely have Halloween, dude. There's gonna be a single skeleton. He's
Whoa,
not gonna
whoa,
do
whoa,
anything.
whoa!
Oh my
Hold
fucking
on.
God, a
You guys
skeleton?
have Halloween in the budget? I demand a pay raise.
You guys are getting paid?
Yeah, dude. There'll be just a single skeleton off in the background. He won't do or say anything, but there'll be a skeleton, which makes it a Halloween episode.
I am going to drop the
Whoa.
skeleton. He is going to be with the party forever.
I'm going to drink some Christmas spices, and because they're all in one
Christmas?
mug, I get to call it pumpkin spice.
I'm sorry, but Christmas is illegal until November 1st at 12:01 a.m.
What
I would
about
say
eggnog?
November
Excuse
15th,
me?
honestly,
Still illegal.
I would say November
Oh, damn.
15th. I'm gonna be real.
As one of the thankful warriors, I'm going to have to say that the fact that you have given up on Thanksgiving entirely has proven that our alliance was doomed from the start.
Thanksgiving is merely a corporate con to get you to buy turkey.
It
That's
is
all
my
Yeah.
opinion that Christmas doesn't start until December 23rd.
Thank
Christmas
you.
starts when the
kind of
Moles start
corporate-
playing Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Okay, but that's like September 15th.
Whoa. This year, I'm pretty sure I heard it at least once in August. So, like,
Oh
y'all,
my fucking God.
if we go by that logic, Christmas is slowly taking over the entire year, and I can't have that.
How
I
long
can't have that
how
either.
long does Christmas last after actual Christmas? Because everybody, like, we can always debate, like, how soon it starts, but how late does it fade away? Like, does it fade away
I
at
don't
New Year's?
care as long as it's gone by January 25th, because I can't be having you guys still celebrating Christmas the day before my birthday. That's just wrong.
Damn.
I'm sorry, little one.
Out here
Oh.
doxing himself.
Hey man, I could give you my full social security number, and it would take me no time to not care about you not getting anything from me.
All I'm saying is that people leave their Christmas decorations out significantly longer than they leave their Halloween decorations out, because there isn't another like major holiday. So it feels like Christmas is out for a very long time in comparison to Halloween.
That's
Dude,
amazing.
Halloween ends before the day is even over.
Dude, I know, it's so lame.
Imagine not putting out decorations for Valentine's Day.
Gaming
I can't
moment.
believe all of y'all single people just hate Saint Valentine's.
I mean,
He's
the last
great.
time I did that, I got arrested. Apparently they don't like human hearts as decoration. I don't
Hmm.
know.
I feel like that's more of like a couple days from now thing.
All right, what's more disconcerting? Seeing a random human heart somewhere or removing a Valentine's Day style heart from someone's body? There's no
latter.
actual heart.
I mean, considering I've done a plethora of medical shit with dissections and whatnot, I'm not grossed out by body parts at all anymore.
He's a gamer, that's for sure.
So the Valentine's heart
So
in
the
the actual body
Valentine's
would
Day
be...
heart would be very disconcerting to me. Like, why?
How did this get here?
We all ready to start?
I think so. If we're done talking about
I mean,
hearts.
Golden is explicitly not here still.
Oh.
Is Golden explicitly not here still? This
He
is
does say when he's back.
this is tragic.
We're gonna have to do a golden seance.
All right, so could adult Sasuke beat all of the Hokage?
You see,
The
this is
answer is
weeb
very
shit,
simple.
therefore we're not engaging in it.
No, because all of the Hokage would imply Naruto, and that motherfucker couldn't 1v1 him.
Okay. All of the Hokage
Weeb.
without Naruto.
Hey, can we talk? Let's talk about something else.
Can we talk about a good
we-
anime?
Yeah,
All right,
like Corey
so
in the
you
house.
guys- Oh my god, I hate you. Corey in the House is so good. I was gonna drop the deep lore, and then this man had to pull me off track.
Curtains pulled from under him. That's it. Unretrifies your lore.
So anyway, we all agree that the greatest movie of all time is The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, right?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. What else could it be?
Yeah.
Lauren and I were actually going to be that, and then we
Are-
ended up being Wharton Greg from.
Are there other movies? You say that like there's another movie that exists.
True.
I feel
Yeah,
like
there's just
Spy
been pale
Kids 3D kicked Shark Boy
Okay.
and Lava Girl's ass.
Whew, those are some
Yes,
harsh
but Shark Boy and
words.
Lava Girl is an allegory for bisexuality, and I will not hear anything else.
Yeah, but they're siblings.
Wait,
Wait,
no,
they
they're
are?
not. Wait, no, they're
Yeah.
not though.
They're not?
Shark Boy and
this
Lava
is-
Girl are not.
Oh,
They're
siblings.
not
They're not
siblings?
siblings. No.
What the fuck?
Are you
No.
okay?
Shark Boy
JC.
and Lava Girl are not siblings.
No, they have completely different backstories. Wait a minute. Lava Girl is like a lava entity or something, and Shark Boy is a kid who was raised by sharks.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
love how we're
Shark Boy.
talking this Shark Boy
wait,
and
do you
Lava
think
Girl
it's not
cinematic
all
universe.
like a fever dream or whatever? You don't
No.
think
I
it's like
think they
make
very
believe?
explicitly proved that it wasn't a fever
It's
dream
not
like
a
halfway
fever
through the
dream.
movie.
Yeah, this is a very important part. We're just leaving out the fact that Max has genuine superpowers and brought the dream world to reality.
Oh,
And that's what the sequel movie is all about, is the
They made
fallout
a
of this bullshit.
sequel.
oh, holy
Yes!
shit! Okay, wow.
If y'all want to talk about the Shark Boy and Lava Girl cinematic universe, hold on.
I didn't know there was a sequel.
I did not know that either. I thought it was still all just make believe.
No, this can't, like, the sequel came out real recently, too.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's called We Can Be Heroes. It's literally just, oh hey, everybody has, like, there's people with superpowers and shit now in the real world, and it's a generation later because Max fucked everything up.
Gaming moment.
And then they don't even bring him up. He's not important to the movie or anything. It's just the fact that that's what happened in the past.
Anyway, we've been on air for 11 minutes, and all we've done is
We have
talk
been
about
giving-
bullshit.
We've
Yeah.
been giving them vital information about the
Apparently.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl cinematic universe.
Who?
So yeah, did I ever ask you guys about how y'all felt about Sora now that he's out? And is the best character in Smash, bar none?
I feel like his combos are kind of silly, how he has like multiple like 10% combos that are true on like 80% of the cast.
Is it
I
as
mean-
sick as Electric Wind God Fist though?
Didn't that combo
okay.
only work on like very light characters?
Oh, if I know.
So, Sora has a baked-in true combo, and that's hilarious. The idea that they already did Bayonetta in Smash 4, they decided to just fucking do it again. And I didn't know this was possible, but they decided to make Pikachu's up B, but 3 times instead of 2. And they added Sonic's homing to it, and they just made that his side B, which he can use immediately following his up B. The Sora is stupid.
And he also can still move during it, can he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sora's stupid.
I don't know.
so
It's
good.
really hard. It's really hard to
Mhm.
to place a character in the same level as Steve with how some Steve players are making stupidly unfair combos with his kit because of the way his kit is oriented.
Alright, so venting time. One of my earliest memories as a wee kid was actually going into like a Blockbuster, and they had a console area set up with with like the Nintendo 64, and there was Smash on it. And I remember playing Pikachu on Hyrule Castle and just spamming down B from like the under platform area onto the AI who was above, as the AI couldn't figure it out. And for some reason, that stuck in my memory, and I had no idea what the game was until like years later.
A new core memory.
Man. Honestly, you make a great point. So many of my core memories are bullshit in Smash Brothers. I
Speaking
can
of,
still remember the day when I decided I was going to be an Ice Climbers main before I knew what a wobble was. Good times.
jolly good. Oh, that's voice.
Boom voice.
Did you know that the spirit of darkness lurks inside of each of us, and it is only through a constant and repetitive battle can we make sure it consumes us?
Jesse, what the fuck are you talking
Sounds
about?
like some weeb shit to me. I'm with BBQ.
Wow.
Did you
Wow.
know that there is a Street Fighter style, like third strike fighting game of Les Miserables?
What the fuck?
Did you know
Yeah.
that 0% of the people watching here are subscribed?
Do you know that there are actually people watching here?
No, I didn't, because to me it says one viewer, and I think that's me.
Did you
There's
guys
2
know
users in
that they're
chat.
making a Warner Brothers multiverse fighting game?
That one I
That sounds
did.
about right.
And I'm scared that that's also part of a crossover with the Tom Clancy shit that they're working on right now, because I think Tom Clancy was technically owned by Warner Brothers for a short time.
I'm not saying that I can't wait to main Shaggy in a fighting game like I've always wanted in my
Oh
life.
my fucking god.
I'm just saying that I'm going to be mating Shaggy and I will beat the shit out of Superman so many times.
Didn't he get added to like Mortal Kombat or Injustice or something?
What?
No, so in the opening of a Mortal Kombat movie, Shaggy did that.
Oh, I see.
Or no. It's like, actually, no. I think that might have been it. I don't know. They just did it because they were aware of the meme.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, shall we get into it?
I don't know. Is
We're
Golden here
on
or
the
is
subject
he
of Shaggy?
gay? Yeah. Seems
One
about
of
right.
us, one of us, one of
He'll
us.
be a minute, he says.
Oh yeah, it was the Battle of the Realms, like opening thingy with Ultra Instinct Shaggy.
I fucking love Ultra Instinct Shaggy.
I had one of his images as my icon for a solid year and a half.
As one should.
Honestly, once this game comes out and I start maining my man, I'm going to be using it again.
Did you guys start?
No.
No, we've
No,
been
we've
waiting
been
for
waiting
you.
for you.
Okay, sorry, I needed alcohol and I need to get a tick off my
Oh,
dog.
jeez.
Oh,
At least tell
speaking
me it's
of
a good
alcohol,
kind.
Golden is dead.
I'm here.
Alright, so
But you are
Golden,
dead.
you're making a new alcohol brand. What is it?
You're asking for a name.
Yeah. Not a style, but just like a name, just a brand.
Does it have to be a name that's very obviously taken?
No.
Just okay. Probably like fucking Golden Sprites then.
Yeah, I was thinking like
Nice and
Golden
simple.
Koi.
I just want to say something. Can we not have the name Golden in a drink name? It's going to bring back unpleasant associations.
Too bad.
Are you implying that beer doesn't already look like piss?
Hey, it just looks like it, okay? Nobody thinks it is it. Well,
Suddenly, after a wave of memories come over people, and honestly, a quite strange and bizarre way, everyone finds themselves back where we left off, at the back area of Darius's shop. It is currently the morning of the day before the great speech will be held in the main elite square.
you guys want to go throw tomatoes during the speech?
I would rather not draw attention to ourselves like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad idea.
In any case, we shall have to investigate the underground, and I shall have to head to the church and coerce information from them.
It is going to be an interesting discussion.
So how exactly do we want to split this up, then?
Well, I'm certain that at this point that the people at the church think I'm certified crazy, which might be true. But you also saw us bring the bodies in there, right?
I was there.
All right, so I'll just let you go. for that one. I'll deal with any of the other problems.
All right then. Schoenhoff, Rifter, where do you intend to go?
I think we've been away from the Hectorum for a bit now. I wouldn't mind revisiting, seeing some familiar faces.
I meant today.
Oh, sorry, my hearing must be getting the better of me.
No worries, no worries. But yes, after Philip's speech, we will, unless something else happens, be returning to Hectorum.
Unless we have business here,
Hi.
I see no qualms with returning to Hectorum.
We do have business here, though. We have to investigate the underground still, and I have to head to the church to coerce information from them about our 3 missing persons.
Right, the missing people.
So, do you want to accompany Hate to the underground, or do you want to come with myself?
I suppose I'll join Hate
All right
in
then.
going back there.
Rifter, Darius.
I'm all right with anything.
All right then. And Lork turns his gaze to Rifter.
Do what you will. I just need to get out of here. With her.
All right then. So I take it you intend to stay here for the moment then?
He looks at the body, and then he looks at him, and he's like, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to go out for a bit, but...
I can try one other thing. Lorik is going to attempt to use Cleansing Touch on Sarah to see if that does anything.
Go ahead and press the button.
Yep, trying to find it. I have a ton of features here.
Okay.
He's trying to end whatever the stasis effect is, or whatever that is that's going
Alright.
on there.
You touch her, a little bit of golden energy flows through her, and she remains much the same.
I'm sorry to say, but I'm not really surprised. I think I've come to a conclusion. It's true. She's not the same. This is an empty husk.
Hmm.
My bet is he's going to try and hold this over you.
But I think I can maintain my composure. I think it's fine. You know?
All right
Just
then.
stab him anyway.
What will you
Okay.
do if you're approached with the idea of having your true mother back?
What is dead should remain dead.
I suppose, but it's easy to say that when you're not faced with, you know.
Look, I understand the temptations, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's just easier for me to assume that he's lying. Makes the whole process a lot easier. That he's going to do some shenanigans, tamper with it somehow.
I suppose so.
Hmm.
I refuse to be compromising on this one.
Understandable. So then why not join me at the church? Maybe we can find out more about the husks there, assuming that all of them were husks.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Rifter goes ahead and he does his little Sailor Moon transformation into Vermilion, by the way.
That's a very good visual. Thank you.
Basically,
You are
he
now
just like
Vermilion.
flips his cape around, and he just goes from Rifter to Vermilion. A very seamless transition.
One of these days, we're gonna get a full Ben 10 style slow motion transformation from him.
Rifter is actually a magical girl.
Fun fact for anyone who didn't know that the like longer transformations are actually what's happening. It's just super slowed down.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It also took me until like 2 years ago to realize Ben 10 was a magical girl.
I mean, he really is, so.
So where to then? Which party do we investigate with first?
Oh, Darius, do you want to join myself and Rifter, or Hate and Schoonhoff?
I don't think I want to go back to that place.
So
So
to the
I'll
church
go.
then?
I'll go with you then.
Alright.
Let's start with the church scene.
Okay. Not the underground?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll kind of be ping-ponging back and forth a bit more aptly this time.
Alright.
As you once again enter the cathedral, the absolute awe of just the sheer number of candles and its sheer size is just... There's a certain splendor to it with the thousands, perhaps even tens of thousand candles lit suspending in the air and the few bits of footsteps murmuring through as each of the clergy members present walk around its depths. Straight in front of you lies the area where previously you had placed your would-be savies. Oh. Hello again.
Again.
An old man kind
what
of...
do you... What do you mean?
He's looking at Darius. I had opened the door for you a few days prior. I trust all is well.
I'm here investigating the supposed disappearance of one Ardril Kastov. He was last seen around here, from what I understand. Do you know anything of the sort?
I cannot say I have unless they are one of our wounded in there. But you are of course free to peruse the entirety of the cathedral. It is all open to you.
Thank you. Lorik is going to start by heading to the area with the wounded.
He kind of bows a bit as he gets out of your way.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me that they didn't recognize the name. He's not exactly famous.
Could have given some sort of a descriptor to him at the very least.
I could have, yes.
It's not very often you see a dragonborn that short.
Okay, shall we?
Aye.
Which direction would it be from here?
Straight ahead.
Okay, thank you. Aha.
Do we know which beds they were laid on?
Would Lorik remember that?
Yes, the cots, not like the beds.
Okay.
Inside there is currently a priest who's kind of working through reorganizing some medical supplies. In front of you, you see, quite uncharacteristically, multiple somewhat severely wounded individuals, something not normally expected in an area with a church.
Greetings.
Turns and looks at you as you enter. Ah, are you okay? Is everything...
Yes, I'm just hoping to gather some information. I'm investigating the disappearance of a Vyemnary known as Ardril Kastov. It's been said that he was last seen around here. Would you happen to know anything about this?
He sets down some of the bandages that he was sorting through onto the small platform in front of him, and he says, "I'm sorry, what was that word?
Biamnary. It's apologies. It's what we used to refer to ourselves. He was
Yourselves being..."
Dragonborn,
Ah,
Darius says over his shoulder.
thank you. I can't say I've seen a dragonborn in many months.
We have under good authority that they were laid unconscious in the church. Do you work any of the night shifts or know anyone who might?
I do. I am going to sits up a little bit more. While I don't personally take the night shifts, I am the one who oversees the primary medical here.
Do you think to aid in our investigation you might gather those that would be around during the nighttime to see if they saw anything?
Of course, should you give him just a few minutes, he should be back. Ometsi
Darius
is
nods.
currently pronouncing some prayers at this time, but he should be back in a short time.
Darius sort of looks over at Lorik. Well, if we're already here, he looks over, not to undermine any of your skills here at the church, but is there anything regarding these patients that we could do to aid in their recovery process?
Ah, that turns over. I don't suppose you're very adept at hunting monsters, are you?
That actually is one of our main strengths, I might say.
Well, unfortunately, their wounds were caused by that of a werewolf, and as such, very resilient to any of our healing. You may feel free to give them your best shot in your attempts to heal, but none of us have had any success.
Hmm.
If you were to seek it, it would be they were found some few hours south of the city.
Would we be given to understand that some of the remains, such as the blood or something of the sort, could be used to synthesize an antivenom or something of the sort?
I beg your pardon?
You said that the wounds were difficult to heal, yes? Perhaps some material from the creature could be used to counteract that difficulty in the healing process.
If I'm not mistaken, I do believe werewolves inflict stronger wounds because they are magical by nature, and so that makes the wounds magical by nature. Am I incorrect?
You are correct.
If
He
that is
kind
the
of looks
case,
at you a little
then
bit. Are you a
if that is,
follower of Lathander by any chance?
he sort of pokes his head up a little bit. It's complicated. By happenstance, I happen to be. Yes,
A great blessing to you.
I thank you. And then he sort of shakes his head a little bit. Back on, my race, he says, like sort of like reluctantly, has certain magically resistant, I might say, properties about us. We might be able to do something with some of my blood if you have anyone here that specializes in the production of chemicals, an alchemist.
The woman next to you just starts saying, "Nope, nope, nope, no, no, no." She is quickly moved over to as he attempts to bandage up and help, like, changing out some of the bandages around her bleeding arm. I can't say we have anyone here who specializes in anything of the sort.
Unfortunate.
Vermilion, do you have any ideas? You might be muted. Evan?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lork asked if Vermilion had any ideas.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I was muted. I said that I wanted to try to see if that whole werewolf antivenom thing would be possible through my poisoner's kit proficiency. I wanted to see if I would know something about
You
that. I don't know if it was
certainly may roll. You would believe it not to be possible. Some experiments had been done in attempting to use either werewolf's blood or werewolf's bone in attempts to get the same effects. However, even with the entirety of the claws, once it becomes separated from the creature, it loses all of its potency.
Vermilion just in his typical fashion of seeing stupid, he goes bug-eyed and then he just goes, "We kill beast. That is only way." Yes. That is his only response.
Well, we can put it on our radar. Do you have any idea where the beast has been sighted?
A few hours south of town.
Do we know if the person behind it, anything about them?
He kind of looks down before looking over to the other person in the other cot to their left. They've been very reluctant to speak of it so far, but you may feel free to ask.
He sort of shrugs a little bit. There are two ways to help a lycanthrope.
At this point, a young man kind of enters the room and says, "Oh, hello. Are you all okay? Everyone?"
Yes.
Kind of looking around.
Derry sort of looks to Lorik.
Would you happen to be one of the healers in charge of the night shift here?
Yes, of course.
Ah, good. I was hoping to get some information from you, if at all possible.
Of course. How can I help a Dumrath?
Myself and my compatriots here are investigating the disappearance of a dragonborn known as Argyll Kastov. He's red and several heads shorter than myself. Would you happen to know anything about him? He was last sighted here a few days ago.
I can't say I have. I can get you some of the logs if you would like.
All right, then. I would greatly appreciate that.
He kind of moves around the corner and you hear a bit of rustling on that side.
Hope the others aren't hitting as much of a dead end as we are. Lork's just kind of mumbling that to both Richter and Darius.
And after about a minute, he comes back out and provides with you a list of a very well kept, very well organized list of ins and outs, start dates and end dates of patients who have come through, of which all of the ones in the last few days, almost all of them are mundane, bearing the wolf attack here and a particularly serious case of burn wounds from a sailor.
And I assume none of the three names are in there?
None of the three are in there, nor their descriptions.
Well, this information is disappointing, but thank you for your cooperation.
At this point, we're probably gonna swap over.
Yee.
Hold on. There we go. Hey, Schoonhoff, you all ready? I should have asked that before I swapped over, probably.
Yeah.
Alright. Go for it. The stage is yours. You've successfully descended back down the columns and the shifting stairs, still with Struenhoff leading the way and it forming its bubble around him as you descend once more into the depths.
The way this molds around me still makes me uneasy.
Everything about this place makes me uneasy. And honestly, I think it's going to be worse now that I've been here before.
If I'm being honest, I hope we don't find them down here.
If we do, we'd probably also find something we don't want to deal with down here.
Correct.
I think we found something we don't want to deal with down here.
Yes.
It's kind of looking in
damn
the
it.
corner, chewing a little bit of moss in the corner.
Slow movements now.
So, you've encountered these things before, right?
Yes, just keep your voice low and don't make any sudden movements.
As you make your way through, there's a great deal of ash and soot as the explosion has finally settled down, as well as the stone underfoot gone from its single seamless sheet to a now cracked slate.
Just looking down this hallway, can I like judge if we're able to get past them without?
Yes, you can. As long as you are going slow, you could step over them if you wanted to, as long as you were moving slowly.
I would prefer not to risk doing that.
Yes, you do not have to do that.
Hate is approximately matching Struenhoff's steps, both in location and in like how quickly he's doing them. Is that? Never mind.
Hold on just a second. There you go.
Gods, they're everywhere.
One of the people I studied with made a very similar joke.
And one of them, as you enter the room, is kind of swimming very gently in the water.
Whoops, did not mean to do that. Could you imagine?
Could you imagine?
So they swim too. That's interesting.
So what even are these things?
I'll explain once we get out. Don't want to make any more sounds than necessary.
One of them kind of takes a little boom, hop.
Well, there's no way we're getting them back in there.
Did the room get... Oh.
as you kind of explore around that area. Not only are the walls completely disintegrated from like what was once the cabin room, there's just nothing left but shards of metal and fragments of stone.
Out of curiosity, does it look like these things have managed to cut themselves on any of the random debris?
What would you be looking for? How would you attempt to deduce that?
Well, very simply, two different things. One, any obvious wound-looking things on them. But two, if there was a sharp edge that happened to have a slight discoloration, that doesn't seem
It
like it's
sounds like you have a fundamental misunderstanding of these creatures.
Yes, hate has a fundamental misunderstanding of these
Alright,
creatures.
none of them look. There is no blood stains on any of the sharp edges, nor are there any wounds on any of the creatures.
It's a miracle Rifter survived this.
Are we sure he did? For all we know, it could have been some other entity that just decided to show up in that exact moment. Although it has been doing a very good job at acting like Rifter.
I find that very unlikely to have happened.
I feel adding incredible amounts of unease when one of these things walks closer to me.
This helmet was left behind, right? Out of
Can we get
character.
a confirmation from the party? Was that just not edited out?
I could have sworn Lork took it.
Alright, it's taken.
Yeah. That definitely seems like something he would have taken.
Did we leave the blood? The only remaining blood vial?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick look over at the table to see if anything has changed. Like anyone's been here.
It does not seem to be, from the best of your knowledge, compared to the previous time.
There's just a few rooms we haven't peeked in yet.
It just kind of looks up at you.
I try to inch my way past it through the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
I respectfully wait for it to pass.
It just kind of turns, continuing to watch Shunoff.
Hate is, in fact, in her mind thinking of various methods of, like, total incineration because she just doesn't know what to do.
We did leave the, this putrid claw here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, against my better judgment, I'm gonna take this with us.
Alright.
I will study it later.
As soon as he turns the corner, it stops watching him and just kind of hops again.
Are any of the other ones watching me?
Nope.
Just that one.
Yep.
I don't like this.
Would I have remembered, Darius leaving a trail in this room?
You would remember that he didn't, and that those are cracks in the stone.
Hmm. What do you make of this? I don't feel the explosion would have caused this. Not from that far away.
Do you think it still works? In some weird, horrible version of working?
I suppose the only way to find out would to try.
It kind of hops on the clay, and then kind of hops off of it as it keeps going in a straight line.
You know, I have the better constitution, but I also have the healing spells.
It's kind of just hopping in a straight line into the corner.
Hate's gonna walk over and just touch it. Touch the sand. The clay.
You touch the sandy clay. It is cold.
How big are one of these tiles?
They are to scale? Question mark.
Alright. So I have a follow-up question. Does this count as a single break?
No.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
Since
25,
counting for a
26,
while.
27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33,
Hey,
34,
Struenhoff, do you think we
35,
should still
36,
play?
37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45! 45 would be needed.
Say that again.
Do you think we should steal the clay?
Well, I suppose it's better than having it deteriorate into dust down here. Let's take some back, I suppose.
Cool. Hate is going to scrolls down into his equipment to see what's the. Oh, I have an explorer's pack. There's probably stuff in there. I'll scoop out some of the clay
You
and,
scoop out some clay.
and just stuff it in backpack.
It has been stuffed in backpack.
In 5 years, when I look at my notes and see that I have red clay, I'm not even gonna know what this is about.
It do be like that.
I don't think there's anything else left down here for us. It seems like nothing's changed since the explosion. Besides, well, how overrun it is.
Is this a we do everything we can to bury the entrance once we get out of this to make sure the infestation doesn't spread, or as long as we don't worry about it, it's not a problem?
I don't believe they should be able to get out unless there is someone else coming here that has the same effect of triggering the entrance and exit. But it is unnerving knowing that the Crown Prince got into here somehow. Unless there's just a one-way entrance and exit, then I guess that's all we can hope for.
I guess we'll just be optimistic about this.
If there was a way to get rid of these things quickly and efficiently, we probably wouldn't be down here with so many of them right now.
I'm still going to need a full refresher initial lesson on what these things are.
I'll start explaining once we get back up.
Is that all?
Yeah, I think we're just going to slow our way out now.
All right.
Yeah.
You continue looking through the records of the previous patients at this location. None of them matching any of your marks.
Well, this is unfortunate. Thank you for this assistance. I think we're going to have to chase other leads for now. I wonder if the others found anything.
Pardon me.
Oh, apologies. This man looks very fancy and important. Would Lork have any recognition of who he is?
Would you like to make a history check?
Yes, I would.
He looks fancy and important. He does look fancy.
Vermilion would also like to see if he knows who this is.
One of the three of you make a roll. You get one. Go ahead. Which one of the three of you?
Yo.
In some of the outings that you had been brought to the actual city itself from the outside mansion, you would have recognized that Philip would have had a few conversations with him. Nothing significant, but he would have been blessed by him quite a few times, as he is the Archdeacon of Earth, the leader of this cathedral, Alexander.
I see. Rifter has leaning on not happy but ultimately neutral feelings towards him, and then he's gonna go ahead and nudge Lorik, like giving him a big old nudge on his shoulder uncharacteristically, and he just whispers, he's like, "You know who that is, right?"
He looks vaguely familiar. Care to refresh my memory?
The Archdeacon.
Darius's eyebrows kind of raise a little bit, and he very lowly, just kind of follow my lead with this. So then he turns to Lorik, and a little bit louder than he would have in a normal conversation goes, "It boggles my mind how a patient could go missing in a church like this."
It's unnerving, frankly.
Not even in recognition that they were even here.
The younger man just kind of moves over and says, "No, I assure you, I keep the best records of when they come in. Are you sure that it was here and not somewhere else?"
We have it on very good authority that they were here. Is there anything else, any other potential idea of where you might be if they weren't in your records, somebody that could have seen them?
The bishop kind of moves over and says, sorry, what's all this fuss about?"
Darius turns, and he does a slight curt, "Your Grace. We're currently investigating the disappearance of a short red dragonborn, and we have on good authority that they were, a couple days ago, dropped off at night here, and it seems that there's not even a record of them being here."
And this is on Dalmarev business, I presume?
Yes.
Of course. I'm sure that I could come help you find what you're looking for. Perhaps we could... I'm quite a good scribe myself, if you'd care to join me in my studies.
Of course, that would be greatly appreciated.
Terribly sorry for the inconvenience of you to come here and not find anything.
Not at all. It was a long shot, but I'm just glad to be making some progress.
You called it a long shot. It was really the only lead we have.
Yes,
Please.
but
Follow me.
aye. Lork commits a follow.
Vermilion just says, "Thank you, say Grace."
He has a bit of a smile on his face.
You know so little common, and that's something you chose to learn.
Vermilion looks at him crooked-eyed. Grace important. Say it before every meal.
Vermilion, I don't know you to have said anything of the sort.
You never see eat.
Vermilion, what is your passive perception?
My passive perception, I'm pretty sure is 23, but let me look it up just to be extra doubly sure. It's 23.
Alright. As you're walking up the stairs, you notice is like about halfway up there's a little bit of a shimmer of like a purple light along the walls before he begins to speak some more.
When you say purple light, is this like, just to make absolutely sure, does this seem like natural light or does this seem like, magic?
It is magical.
Okay.
Like the texture of the stone wall, normally it's been either this like white or this blue texture, like a blue stone or like a pure white marble almost. And as you go up, just as he steps across some of the stairs, there's a little bit of a blue shimmer which kind of rides along the very hintings of the wall
I see.
before he
Okay.
begins to speak. I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience and the embarrassment that may have caused. It's my responsibility. I'm sorry. And he continues walking up.
Not at all. This is something of a sensitive matter, and I'm glad we're able to discuss it with someone who is of sufficient standing to handle such sensitive matters.
Of course. I trust that everyone following you, seeing as they are people who you've brought with you, know of the situation.
Yes, they are very trusted consultants in my investigations.
Whether we like it or not, we are roped in.
So it would seem. Well, then on that front, what would you like to know? They are in my taking, if that is your concern.
The initial concern was just knowing that they were not gone, considering the nature of it. You can understand our panic, I might say, when the bodies suddenly vanished.
Yes. The cat is a
Vermilion.
very good boy, and while he is currently eating some of his meat, he kind of turns around, and as you do so, he really likes getting the scratch of your claws just a little bit. They make for a very good rubbing. Ah, that is why I'm glad I'm glad you're taking liking to them. Speaking of, and he like moves around and says, "Where are you?" And he's kind of searching around for a moment before he grabs and there's a meow as he pulls up another cat.
Hmm.
And he's kind of holding them and giving them some good scritches.
I think this guy likes cats.
I
Perhaps.
think so too.
And then that brings me to my question, if you'll allow me to ask them.
Of course.
What is it that a Delmarov is doing with a couple of husks anyway? And might I add, they are excellent quality, that being that Deacon of Air is one of my close friends. It's quite an astounding mock-up.
We discovered them while investigating a clandestine operation in an underground complex just across town. I, at the time, didn't actually know that they were husks.
Ah, that explains that. Well, I'm sorry to inform you, but there is nothing of them. I made sure to contact him. He is alive and well.
That's good to hear. So, I am not as well versed on this sort of magic as I would very much like to be. What is the purpose of these husks, if you know anything of that?
He kinda gives his cat a couple scratches. Most common for finding wayward souls a new home. Sometimes simply for if someone has lost an arm, to regrow one that might be more inclined should traditional magics fail. What else?
Do you think these bodies could handle a less mortal soul as a sort of vessel?
I can't say I've ever heard of it, but I can't say I've ever heard it failing either. Kind of sets the cat down and moves over, pops open one of the drawers and pulls out some more meat, bringing them to it. This cat, as opposed to Zwei up above, who is very well behaved about it, is much more ferocious and very much like making a mess of things.
So, in essence, they're replacement bodies, then?
If you'd be so crude. If it weren't for the fact that they didn't have souls, I'd feel offended on their behalf.
And from your lack of knowledge, it seems clear to me that these were not made by request of those
No,
who they imitate.
or at least not that he'd be willing to share with me, and that would be a surprise.
Lorik sort of looks over at, or Derry sort of looks over at Lorik.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And,
That's
and
it.
it's like-
Uncontrols your PC.
What were you gonna say, Ted?
I'm thinking. Ah! In a
sorry.
faint Yuan T dialect draconic, really hoping that Lorik gleans information from it enough to understand the general gist of it, just so that he's not like speaking draconic in case other people can understand draconic in that kind of sense, like only a native speaker would be able to like whatever. Anyways, it's like
He's
Do you
sneak
think-
speaking.
do you think we should tell him who we found them from?
No.
No.
At this point, the cat next to Rifter kind of stops eating as he eats the last bit of it, moves over and puts both his paws on your like leather armor chest plate.
I
Aw.
continue to pet the cat. I am, however, Rifter has been keeping up his facade of haha Vermilion so stupid pretty well up until this whole husk business has come up. Now his eyes are pretty razor sharp.
I'm assuming the primary use of the husks outside of for body limb replacements might be a resurrection for someone's body who might have been previously unreattainably destroyed.
If the body might not be found, perhaps. Most often I've heard it while they're still alive, but such procedures are rare and quite frankly unorthodox, even for necromancy.
So then what you're saying, and he turns over to Vermilion a little bit, like with his, like he's looking at him with one of his eyes, is that a soul lost can be returned to a new husk.
Should it be willing and should the times be right.
He lightly nods.
And given
Similarly.
given how well of a construction it was, I can't imagine it would be too difficult. Good girl. Good
I'm
girl.
not sure if this is relevant at all, but down there we also found these creatures. They were like rabbits almost, with massive eyes and mushroom caps on their head.
They sound quite cute.
They are until you see them move.
From what I understand, they can replicate when startled in a rather destructive manner. Do you think that their magical nature might have anything to do with the creation of these husks?
Quite frankly, I have no idea.
Alright then.
I've heard stranger things.
Do you know of those who might know more about the in-depth process of husk creation and possible shortcuts that might be taken?
You know, and he kind of moves away for a moment, goes to his bookshelf, and pulls out one, handing it to the orc. Please, it is yours to take. I can't say husks are very commonly utilized or even thought about, so the book is yours.
My thanks. This will be very useful in trying to determine why these were created. Thank you for all your help.
Do you mind if I am to keep them with me?
Not at all. Your care is likely safer than anywhere else I can think of.
And regardless, I'm sure your intentions are better than those who created them.
I will ask you, though. I intend to make a report to Executor Perilyn. Are you alright if I tell him that the husks are in your care?
Of course, I have no problems with it.
Thank you. Well then, we had best be off. Thank you so much for your time and your assistance.
Is Vermilion petting the cat at all in his facade, or is he still,
He's actually stopped petting the cat after this whole conversation. He more so he basically had his hand on the cat and has completely forgotten that he should be petting it. He snaps out of his daze for a second as he realizes that they're leaving, and he walks over and he just bows, and in his Vermilion voice he just says, "Thank you for your cooperation," and he continues on.
Lore rolls his eyes.
Mhm.
He's still learning.
As we're walking out together, he turns to Vermilion and asks softly, "Do we have another husk to leave in his care?"
He grimaces and he doesn't say anything. He just thinks about it.
as he's heading downstairs with you, the cats start following him, and he turns around and says, "No, Zwei, Stiletto, stay."
Stiletto.
Good cut.
And then you all make your way downstairs.
Making my way downstairs.
Ta-da.
Wait a minute. That guy next to that pillar right here, is he that guy from not Korheim, Coffin?
I do not believe so.
Okay, because he looks very similar.
You know what? Cosvin. Open Cosvin. sorry, you should... Is there anything else you would like to be doing here at the cathedral for now?
Shall we get back to the others at the shop? Share our findings?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Alright then.
It does not look like it's a duplicate image. Should be fine.
Okay.
I can see
Okay,
the
he just-
resemblance to one of them, though.
Okay, he just looks very familiar.
Yeah.
And back to store, I think.
Shunhoff, Hate, do the two of you perform any activities while on your way back?
I might have a quick exposition about what the things are and explaining it to her.
I think that sounds good, that you explain to her while you walk back, and you arrive before they do. Who is bleeding?
Sorry, that's me.
Okay.
Hate.
Hate.
There we go.
Alright. Schoenhoff, you were explaining to Hate. You arrive back at the location before them. Go and give your exposition.
So those things down there, if you think about how mushrooms and mold reproduce with the spores, imagine if you were to inject the same properties into blood itself, and as the blood gets scattered, it creates more of the same creatures.
That's not a fun mental image.
No, it's not. And when startled, they splatter.
I don't like that as a defense mechanism, I'm going to be honest, but it seems wonderful for ruining our day.
Right now, I'm just glad that they seemingly have no way out of there. At least I hope. I suppose time will tell.
You know, it's probably not the best to try and count your chickens before they hatch on that one. We might want to just not be here in the next few days.
No, we probably don't want to be, although if something does happen here, it won't feel good to know our role we played in it.
That is a very salient point, to be fair. Sometimes I just kind of wish that I was born. Actually, no, I was born without a moral compass. Sometimes I wish my father hadn't instilled into me a moral compass. Things would be so much easier.
Hey, Lot, how you doing?
Well, well, well. Nominus, we found the criminals. He says as he parts way for Lorik to come through.
So, any luck?
Darius nods. We know where they are. They're in safe care.
I'm sorry, I just realized I was muted. I'm sorry.
Get fucked.
As it turns out, they are in the care of the Archdeacon of Earth, and they are husks, not the actual people.
And he has all of them,
All three, yes.
and you saw them.
We
Guys.
neglected that.
I don't think it's necessarily important,
Hi.
considering
The
they
fact
are
that he was aware of them and contacted the Archdeacon of Air himself, and was knowledgeable about their nature.
If you're sure about it, then I suppose I'm alright with it as well.
I see no reason to mistrust him, especially as he had no objections to being mentioned in the report to Parolin. If he didn't actually have them, I imagine he would be deeply worried about the prospect of Parolin coming to investigate eventually.
If he didn't want us to know, he never would have taken us upstairs to begin with.
I
He
suppose
seems
you're right.
unlikable, yeah.
And he also gifted us this book about husks. Maybe we can figure out why he made them, or had them made.
That's a capital H-E.
And maybe we can figure out what was happening in Chibalo then.
It may seem like a stretch, but yes. There
Although,
were more things going on down there than just the few links between here and there.
To be fair, though, the mechanisms are identical.
the deacon did mention something that was interesting. He mentioned the husks being used to create a body for someone to replace their missing limbs. Didn't that red fellow have a missing arm?
I believe so, but we didn't find him among one of the bodies, did we?
He did have a missing arm. Then my question is, why was Dyer in it? If those machines produce husks,
I've been
Perhaps
racking
they
my
can
brain around that too. I don't like it.
Perhaps those machines can convert other living bodies into husks.
I suppose having a husk that can disguise itself as anything is quite valuable.
Perhaps that's the reason why. Because they could make it whatever they wanted.
And even if caught, there's no trace to who it actually is besides what they looked like.
Aye.
You know, in light of this development, Schernhoff, the concept that I brought up earlier, seems significantly more likely to be true. Still not more likely than not, but more likely than initially thought of.
Could you refresh my memory briefly on this?
Oh, just the idea that Rifter was not actually Rifter and just a husk that somebody has been expertly pretending to be Rifter this whole time.
Ah, yes. That one so
Rifter looks at
outlandish.
hate.
One so outlandish it went through one ear and out the other.
I'm just saying, disappeared from the party, giant explosion, and we just presumed that you came back okay. Oh, mostly not okay, but okay enough.
In his defense, I did find him battered and bloodied in the middle of that room.
Listen, all you need to know is that there's only one May. Nobody can be me better than May.
Battered and bloodied is probably putting jam on top of it.
Lork was being nice.
I should mention that that room the explosion happened in is completely destroyed. There's almost nothing left of the walls.
frankly, I'm surprised, or not surprised, but glad that you didn't die, because if you did, I don't think your body was healthy enough for Revivify.
That's fine. We accomplished the goal.
Let alone the fact that we didn't have
Darius sort of
real
like balances his hands like a scale. Your goal of killing a husk.
Yeah. As long as they can't reproduce those things, I'm perfectly fine.
Didn't you explicitly make sure something like that can't happen to him?
It
Not
apparently
yet.
didn't stick, given that there's a speech tomorrow. I'm still wondering how they're going to pull that off.
Right
I'm
now,
excited for that as well.
we only have a vague idea of what the husk can do to heal one's body.
To be clear, I only have the formula to assure he can't return. He could still bring Bot back, I imagine, if they had high enough magics.
Would you like me to remind you, Rifter, of why you would not say that? Because it is one of the things that was very important for you.
Wait, what do you mean? With a husk?
With the original.
Wait, go ahead and remind me, because I didn't destroy his soul, did I?
The benefactor.
Oh, I didn't realize that was actually... Okay, see... Alright, fair enough. I automatically assumed that he could still, like, leave the afterlife. Like, I assumed it was just he's in hell or some shit.
What afterlife?
Oh, true. True.
Yes, especially if our theory about who the benefactor is true.
Well, that all the more reason, if our theory is correct, then I imagine he's probably too preoccupied to be holding onto all of his souls.
That's
mean-
actually a good point.
I mean, to be fair, if you eat a hamburger and then get punched in the face 20 days later, nothing is happening to that hamburger.
You're right,
Not
but-
going to vanish out of your
I
body.
assume souls work differently than hamburgers.
Hold on. So there's
Hold
two
on, that's
things
going
here,
in
though.
quotes.
Okay, one, the majority of that hamburger is going to be gone from your body by the end of 20 days. But for the bits that have stuck around, there's a non-zero chance that the skin damage that you just took from the fist might actually have been 100% of it.
God, I hate that you're all right.
See,
Listen,
now, but you wouldn't at that point call it a hamburger.
Why not?
Okay. Here, let me just put it this way. Rifter
I'm
has
not
a
gonna answer
recipe for a soul destroying blade until he uses that on his soul somehow, until he actually literally does it himself, he's not dead. He's not gonna kill this man alive.
Schrodinger's Philip.
Yeah, literally, as far as Rifter's concerned, if there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a will, he can kill it.
If there's a will, he can kill it.
To be fair, it would have been pretty funny if Rifter got actually one shot by trying to kill a fucking dummy.
So, fair point on that. If he had failed one of his saves, he would have taken at least 2 more damage, which means he would have died instantly.
Oh no, I mean like outright, just died instantly for attempting to kill a dummy.
Yes, had he had 2 less health, he would have died instantly.
If I had rolled con a little worse, I would have died.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Reggie.
Roro Reggie, 4th degree burns.
I don't think there was much left to be burned, honestly.
I think I discovered 5th degree burns.
All right, very important. If we were all the members of the Scooby-Doo Incorporated, then which one of us would have to be the horrible, horrible, horrible nephew?
No, I'm really happy you're here.
Rifter.
Like Zoink Scoob, who's making chicken nuggets?
I hate that.
Like, see, Lorik is clearly Fred.
Yeah. I think Darius is Velma, or I'm sorry, Daphne in that case.
I actually think that's true.
Oh my god, wait, no, and then Strunhoff's Velma. Oh no.
I think
I'm old?
You're
that
smart.
Rifter
Oh, I
Rifter
see.
is scrappy.
Yeah,
Wait, no, but we
Rifter is
actually have
grumpy.
enough. Wait, but that makes Hate Shaggy, and that makes Rifter Scooby. Wait a minute.
No,
We
no.
Wait.
Lorik.
Shaggy is
Lorik.
a like war god, so makes sense.
Lorik is Scooby. You don't get the privilege of Scooby. You get the privilege of Scrappy.
Wait, why are we just missing out on Fred though?
We
I'm
did
Fred.
Lorik. Lorik is Fred. Lorik is
Oh,
Scooby.
Lorik is
okay.
Scooby.
Okay.
Slorik is the one-time appearance of John Cena in that one movie where he stops a boulder from
Wait.
crushing them.
No. Slork is the World Globetrotters. What do you mean? Slork
So
is
if we-
Batman.
If we didn't have Sloric, what would be the icon of ICON, not EIKON? Like, who would be the face of a Hectorum? What would be the face of a Hectorum, if not who?
We would have to make Slork.
If Slork didn't exist,
Who or what would be our main mascot?
John Hectorum, obviously.
Every owl has
Hectorum,
a Hectorum.
Jonathan
So cool.
Hectorum.
Oh yeah,
Let's,
by the way, I named our three-man group. Every soul has its dark, and I made the image John Dark Souls.
Seems reasonable.
God. It's
Okay,
like
I think we're getting a bit sidetracked here.
I
Guys.
agree.
That was just
with
a side
that.
note
Yeah.
to Golden.
Yeah,
The
Since
entire thing was a side note.
Run it back.
it was
run
glorious, but
regardless.
well, it's so early in the day, and considering that we are strapped for money, I have something of a lead.
oh,
All right.
There is a werewolf a few hours south of town, supposedly. Considering that we have to stay here for at least one more day, I propose that we go werewolf hunting today. Quick little diversion, and then we can see how in the hells they're going to do that thing tomorrow.
We could
then we
also
can get
do
back
that
to
on
our
our way
own
out if we want to do non-mind-bogglingly, non-manual labor for the first time in a while. A day off, I might say. Well, maybe for
a day
others.
off.
I'm using it as an excuse to perhaps get one day to fully situate the new addition. But if we want to go do the werewolf now, we can.
Well,
I think we ought to repay our debt. I mean, he was pretty helpful to us, and I feel that curing those people would probably be the best repayment we could give.
and they may even be willing to offer money for material components or material components directly.
So that brings us to the question: do we want to try and learn more about the werewolf and see if we can't find some way to cure the lycanthropy, or are we looking to kill it?
Well, there was a cure.
It's a curse of some sort.
It would probably be not that difficult for one of us to cure it. Probably.
Considering the wounds itself, just the wounds alone are trouble for the archdeacon. I don't know if we can just decide to cure it. I think it's more of a process than that.
And besides, by ridding the town of that, we may also be repaying some of our debt for what happened 2 nights ago.
Aye.
Well,
Also, in case, just an addition, in case we should be at least try and figure out how they were infected, because it was either a direct curse from a god, which could be a key to curing it, or they were infected by another lycanthrope, which would be important information if there was an additional lycanthrope.
Would you mind making me a nature check real quick, Doris?
Sure.
All right.
9.
9.
It's slightly below average,
It is slightly below average,
just like me.
just like your rolls.
No. That's inaccurate. Darius rolls are always way below average. Come on. I'm sorry.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Continue.
Yes, sorry.
Regardless, if we are going to get going, we should get going now.
Aye,
You
that
said
way
a
we have.
few hours south, but where exactly? It's a rather
Maybe we
vague.
can gather some more information from Bounty Board. I imagine that would be the sort of thing to show up there.
Aye. Let's make our way then.
You find a few other things, none of which are particularly in the like proper admission of stuff that you wouldn't be able to go out of your way to do. And in regards to that, there's a couple locations where it's been like spotted, along with the additional point of contact where they described. And if you so choose, you can make your way out to that general area.
Would there be any way to triangulate a likely layer based on?
Yes, that is where you're going.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. This seems like the most likely place to find it. Shall we?
Why not? Let's make our way out.
I would like 2 of you to make me survival rolls.
Not me. Bad survival.
Oh boy, survival.
The one nobody ever has.
I have 5 wisdom, so that's good enough.
Oh yeah, you definitely roll that. I have 3.
Can my character sheet actually reopen? Jesus Christ.
You said you needed 2?
Alright, we're good. Hate, you can track it if you so choose.
I guess I'll choose to.
Alright. The party ends up following and getting the first strikes on it. I would like... we're gonna fast track this combat a little bit. I have some plans for that. I would like to start off with everybody making an attack roll.
I'm trying. Character sheet is not properly loading for some godforsaken reason.
Miniaturizing our
Did you just-
combat based.
Did you just have Hate roll a regular survival to track a creature when she has locate creature prepared? God damn it.
You know, I
That's
can.
rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy.
When you say roll and attack, you mean roll and attack like one attack?
Yes, like 1 attack.
Okay.
Whoops, didn't mean to auto roll damage with that, but there you go.
Wow, I got my 3.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Character
Oh my god.
character sheet is not loading, so I just
Rifter
typed in the.
sneak attack.
Rifter would have had sneak attack.
Okay.
I guess we're not helping it anymore because
Character sheet was not loading, so I just did the. roll
Yeah,
manually.
you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Well, alright. Would you like to activate any of its ability?
Its ability is I take half damage in exchange for them taking repeated damage, right?
Correct.
I'm pretty sure that still like one-shots me, so no.
I mean, that's 30... goes to 37.
That is more than half of my HP. So
Mm-hmm.
I will not do that.
I don't think I will.
Just a reminder that if my 16 hit, it had -2 AC for the rest of those hits because I went first.
Mm-hmm.
Did the 16 hit?
So that's its ambush. It gets severely wounded. Multiple of its limbs are crippled. And it's like kind of... It's like down on the ground and it moves over attempting to slash at people before you guys get another round off.
Excuse me? If I knew this was a regular round, I would have swung twice.
Mm-hmm. We're fast tracking. We're fast tracking.
has it made any attempt to try and communicate?
It has not.
Okay.
So who all is it slashing?
Can everybody make a dexterity?
Oh no.
And then everybody make an attack after that.
Oh, reroll
Um,
that.
Game
Reroll that.
Or
Wall
just
is
Save.
am I in
we
my
go, that's
aura or
better.
am I in my aura or Darius's aura?
You can be in Darius's aura.
oh, then I had a
Let me
plus
just-
5 to my 5 plus 1.
So +4.
Hey Darius, let's go.
11.
11.
All
All
right.
right, I got my nat 20 and my nat 1 out of the way for the day, so I'm good now.
Pretty base. All right, so that's
Oh,
just
there's my nat one of the day.
Uh-oh.
so that's just Darius and Hate. Okay.
Why do you hate me?
Each of
Oh.
you have your max HP temporarily reduced by 16. This recovers by 2 per day.
Max?
Oh, do I? Oh,
Yes,
if it was
max.
if it was a magical effect, don't I get advantage?
There's not a saving though on it.
Oh, okay.
It's just like the damage it deals reduces max HP.
Oh, okay. Damn,
And
that's
then
a
if
lot
the
of-
rest of you can roll your attacks.
Would I be allowed to use my channel divinity to make that a +10?
Sure.
Okay.
Why is it doing that again?
Alright, you have successfully slain the werewolf.
Oh, cool.
Smack it again after it was slain.
I did not participate.
I am doing my part.
Sure. Did
Thank you so
did it
I
go
just-
to Lorik?
No, it was
No.
it was hate and
First of all, it was
yeah.
negative
I'm sorry.
17, and second of all, it was to hate.
I thought it was
Darius.
negative
16.
16.
It was 16.
hate
Yeah.
is just schizophrenic, as
You
always.
rolled a 17 right there.
Yeah, but that's
Lord,
That's
rolled
Lorik.
17.
It turns out I rolled 2 numbers for both of you, and it just happened to be 13 twice.
Oh.
And so it's 16 because it's a +3 in all.
Hey, look, it's a 7-10 split.
Wow. Anyway,
I regret this.
I wanna delete this shit. How do I do that? Get this shit off of my screen. You make it back to town. You can do whatever you want. The werewolf husk exists. Husk? Whoa.
You
The
used the H word.
I use the H word. Well, the corpse of the
Oh.
werewolf stands beaten and broken before you.
Do I know if these civilized people consider werewolf corpses to be the corpses of sentience, and so desecratable, or the corpses of monsters, and thus perfectly usable as material?
Would you like to make a religion check?
Sure. Click.
They are seen as
13.
abominations.
Sweet.
As to
Alright.
if that precludes them from sentience or not is up to debate in your mind.
They're just as bad as scions. Well, maybe
Alright,
not quite as
so-
bad as scions.
I would like to posit to the party, harvesting all of the parts of this creature's body for potential dope-ass werewolf loot.
That could potentially also be useful for paying some of our expenses.
That too.
Go for it.
Hmm.
Hey.
I don't really have a use for
I
any of
kind
it.
of think that's a slightly more disturbing thing now that Darius is perfectly okay with it.
8, why does your buff say what I was thinking? Did you just straight copied it when we were talking about it?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, actually.
Wait a minute.
Greg moment.
Do you need me to
Greg.
update that? Because, honestly, it feels like this is in character for Greg.
I think it's
Greg,
kind of
like-
funny, yeah, honestly. So who all will be harvesting from it?
You can just sell my share. I don't have any use for the materials here.
I'd like to check out what I can get for materials.
I think we need to harvest the materials first, and then worry about what we can get from it.
Schoonhofer, do you mind making me an Arcana real quick?
Oh no, guys. My donuts are almost here.
Who's nuts?
Schoonhoff, would you mind
He's
making an
nuts.
Arcana?
Yeah, I got you.
Alright, you know that among other things, something that not many of the other party members would know, is that
Sorry.
some of the spinal fluid is sometimes used in certain spells involving like invisibility or moonlight.
Like activating invisibility, not seeing.
Alright.
Okay. I think I'll pass then because that seems kind of dirty to extract. It's not something I would immediately use.
It is also something that is in high demand. As I'm sure you can imagine.
I'm not greedy.
I am, because I have like 2 or 3 spells that need to be cast that it's pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to have material possessions currently, so
So
You know what?
what?
I will
So
pay
is
for them for
anybody
you.
doing anything?
Yeah, I'm just
Um,
gonna. I was waiting for someone better than me saying they're gonna butcher these things. Then I realized they probably have the most survival.
Yeah, my survival is a +1.
Alright, Hate, go for it.
Don't forget the guidance.
Oh
Alright.
yeah, I should roll guidance. Um, hold on.
Alright. Pick 3 parts of the body.
The spinal fluid.
You don't know that.
Fuck. Stranoff, you have damned us.
Okay. So I'd like, yeah. What dare? Let's see. We should go for its teeth, its claws, and its skin.
Okay, you get a fairly well-off werewolf pelt. The teeth retain their sharpness, and the claws, as had been previously stated, when they kind of get ripped off, you kind of feel as they lose a little bit of their magic sheen as they're pulled off from the interior of their sockets.
Hey man.
The rest of the body, as you attempt to recover, is not done well enough to successfully extract stuff from the rest of its body.
Let's see what we can get for some of this. I imagine that a leather worker would very much like to work with this.
Yeah.
Hey, you said you needed 25 gold per casting of that spell, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Darius, about how much do you think we could fetch for this pelt?
Well, I mean, it's a nice looking pelt, but I don't necessarily know if someone would pay for it unless they're explicitly looking for something exotic more than they would for a normal woven pelt. It might even draw business away from it, considering I would think people would be afraid of it being cursed or something. I can't tell you off of the top of my head what it would be ranged at, but if we bring it back to the shop, I'm sure we could figure something out about it.
Alright then, I can accept that.
I don't know of any personal magical uses for werewolf pelts, so I have to approach it from the aesthetic side. Somebody who would use the pelt for carpentry
I will
or...
correct you on that there. One of the things you noticed in the fight is that some of Schoonhoff's magic did less damage than it seemed like it should have.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
run it back. Run it
magically
back.
resilient.
Yeah. Aye, it could be used in some sort of armor smithing.
It didn't come up because it was a crit, but yeah.
GG's.
Get critted.
So if that's the case, we might be able to fetch a pretty decent price for it.
Aye, if we don't want to use it ourselves.
I don't really have any use for it, and as far as I'm aware, Vermilion here already has fairly well enchanted armor. Would that be correct?
I shake my head. I point to my invisibility cloak and walk around with it like this magic. This, and I point to my leather armor. Well made.
Ah. Well, tell you what then. Once we get back to Hectorum, maybe we can get Thukholm to make that into new armor for you.
Mhm. I'm inclined to ask about, the teeth.
The teeth might be useful elsewhere. Maybe as a spell component even. We could see if we could barter with them at the Mages Guild.
Agreed.
The party makes their way back. You have re-entered the city.
Hey,
Trying
you
to
want see
find
where we
some
can get...
scrubs who don't know that the claws lose their potency when you take them out.
Sure enough, do you want to see if we can barter at the Mages Guild with these? That Lork
I
was referring to
don't
the
see
teeth.
why not. That sounds like the
Alright.
best place to barter with them.
Lork, Schunhoff, in any combination, give me 1 performance and 1 nature.
I'll do performance because my charisma actually buffs that significantly.
What's your nature?
Modifier 3.
Okay, and what's your performance at?
Modifier 5.
Okay. Do you want to do the nature and I'll do the performance then? I have a slightly worse performance than you, but you have a way better nature than me.
Okay, yeah. Bet.
Okay. Yeet.
You managed to get a sale at what you consider to be a reasonable enough price. 9 gold is yours for the lot of them.
Oh, that's much less than I had hoped for.
Each or split?
Each.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay. So that's 45 gold total then.
No. For each of you, each person. So
Right.
18 total.
Oh. Oh, God.
The 2 people selling it.
Right. I thought each in this case meant like the whole party. My bad.
Nope, no worries.
Okay.
wait, so we got 18 or 9?
You got 9,
18 total.
Schunhoff, you had 9.
Okay.
When we reconvene, Darius is just going to raise his hands. As much as I tried to, I didn't actually participate in that fight other than get hit, so you guys are more than welcome to the gold from that. We also haven't told the contract lister about the kill yet, have we?
Not
We
yet.
can show the pelt as proof since we haven't sold it yet.
That's true.
And then we can make our way back to the church and
Inform them.
inform them, see if the healing won't work now.
All right. How much do we get paid by whoever put the bounty up?
As you go there and you brandish the pelt and explain some of the details of it, he in fact confirms that that was the beast he was looking for you to slay. Thank you so much. And he walks up and puts some gold in your hand, Lorik. With that beast gone, my children can roam their fields free of fear now. And you now have 35 more gold.
Oh.
Like I
More?
said.
Hard cash.
So,
Hey, I have enough to pay for both legend lores now.
ooh. Well, then go get them.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that we have made no money.
Yep. We have lost 6 gold on my account at least.
Don't worry, I'm gonna start acting a little bit more in time with the business side of stuff. So hopefully I can
Oh,
make
thank
money.
God.
2 legend lores means 1 raised dead.
Every
Glances
group
over at
has the murder hobo, the policeman, the nerd, the merchant. The crazy
The
ass.
Wait, does that make Hate the nerd of
I
that
think
group?
Hate's the
No.
crazy ass. I think Schoenhoff's the
But
nerd.
Rifter.
I think
absolutely think
Rifter's the murder
Rifter-
hobo. I think
Oh,
Lork's the
fair.
police
Sorry about that.
man, and I think Chad, no, Darius is the merchant.
Wow, who would have thought?
Hmm.
Well,
Wait a
who's
minute,
the
that-
fatter?
Wait, but Rifter has a house. He's not hobo.
Crazy ass.
Actually,
Darius's
hold on.
house.
Yeah,
Dude, we
I'm
both
pretty
live in the
sure
house.
Rifter does not have a share in the house.
Wait, what do you mean? He absolutely does. Just take Rifter.
Anyway, does anyone have
Anyways.
objections to me buying 2 Legend Lore component sets?
No.
Okay. Hayes, have any objections?
We
Nobody is
just need to
objecting.
make this,
Okay.
money again very fast so we can meet the requirements for Raised Dead.
I have spent 50 gold on 2 Legend Lores.
Bro, that's crazy. Damn.
Okay.
Can we get some more music up in here? This silence is killing my vibe.
Vibe check.
Yeah, I got you.
Back to the church then?
I say yes.
Okay. Any objections to the church?
Nope.
Okay.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. That's the good shit. You make your
Okay.
way back. They are still wounded.
Oh.
I'm gonna wait outside because they think I'm crazy.
The crazy ass.
Hello again.
Hello, Mario.
He gives a slight nod but says no words.
We took care of that werewolf. There should be no more issues with that in the future.
She kind of rolls over onto the bed a little bit, clutching and keeping the bandages over her eye. You sure?
Aye, we made very, very sure that it was dead.
She shakes her head a little bit before laying it back down on the cot. Taking a deep breath, and a lot of her muscles kind of relax up.
Hopefully the recovery expedites.
Aye.
Well, werewolf wounds are nasty. I doubt they last forever.
Aye. I certainly hope not.
Did you guys make sure to note the date at which she received it?
That would be the 29th.
Should be.
Oh wow, that's coincidental.
Oh, yeah, it's October 29th.
Oh, well, it is.
I was about to say, no, that's today, silly. But then I realized, wait, what?
It's only on the wrong side of the year, but otherwise, yeah.
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 The Matrix is leaking.
Actually, it's not the 29th of late seed, it's the 29th of October.
I hate it here.
What the fuck is in October?
Alright then. Shall we get these components back to Hate?
Seems so. I think that's our next course of action.
And then hopefully we should be able to just take care of business as usual until tomorrow.
Aye. Oh, and your rent's actually run out. You all owe me another 10 gold per for staying. He says as he's immediately walking away, not actually looking or.
I think we can take a rain check on that.
Oh, I'll put it on your tab.
All right, Hayes. I got the components for those 2 divinations that I requested from you.
Perfect. Now I just need every bit of information about the 2 targets beforehand.
All right.
Out of character, which 2 targets are we talking about?
Highborn Marivax and, in quotes, the Highborn.
I see.
For Marivax, Lork is going to recount as best he knows Marivax's history as a general among the Triumphus and his ascension to executor after. Where was it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it. There we are. How he defended the Sojo territory against the Savage Kingdoms when he was younger, and had very quickly ascended to executor executor after that, and then his natural charisma as a leader led him to very quickly ascend to the station of Highborn.
Well, whenever you guys are ready to, you 2 can do, like, I won't say a mini session, but just have a text chat with me in it and just formulate what you're going to specifically say out, and we can handle the spell at a future time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
So does anyone have anything else to do with the party for the night?
Not that I can think of.
Alright. Without further objections, the day rolls around. It is the day of the speech.
Can I use the bathroom first?
You may. We
Thank you.
can take a break here.
Thank
No,
you.
You're not allowed to.
I don't know, can you?
Oh God.
Hey, I was a teacher, what can I say? We'll be back in just a minute.
I want you to know that teaching is the profession that I wish had the exact opposite amount of work and pay.
I just wish I could, I don't know, not.
I just.
Oh God.
Aye.
No, that was it. I just.
Oh, well. Okay, just to be clear, just to refresh everyone's memory, because I've been told this twice now. Dude, back when we initially got the house, Rifter actually put in the second amount most of money, because at the time he had the second most of money in the party.
Alright. I understand what you've said, but blocked.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. In a deed.
Listen, I can forge a deed.
I'm the one with the deed, buddy. I'm the one with the
Isn't
document,
the
buddy.
land owned by a different entity known as Decius LLC?
Hey, whatever happened to Zeldris's money? I'm pretty sure he had a lot of money. Is it just in his trunk?
That's a good question, actually.
Because, I'm pretty sure that the house was owned by the party, but the land was owned by by 2 people in my order.
I mean, that may very well be true. All I'm saying is Rifter isn't homeless. That's all I'm pointing out, bro.
I mean, the process of purchasing it. I don't think August paid any money for the house.
I know Decius. Either August or Decius did. Because they made a big payment down on it.
Decius did put a lot into it. I don't know if it was necessarily differentiated between the land and the house, because I know the payments between the land and the house were kind of simultaneous, and it was generally
they were a little bit apart. Turtle land paid was 40 gold.
I just remember the timeline of feeling very happy that I had the most gold, and then promptly getting fucking smoten because your what is it? Your investments eventually paid off, and you like doubled the gold differential. I was just like, damn, unlucky. Like, apparently, stealing doesn't beat capitalism.
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
What's the
Anyways,
difference?
Man, it's so crazy to think that capitalism makes more money than stealing from
See, now,
capitalism.
you say, oh wow, your investments made so much money. I just put all of the money I made from the investments back into the investments, so we'll see where that goes.
One of these days when he goes in to check up on how it's doing, and he's gonna get Darius lucked and lose it all.
Rifter just walks in.
Wait. Why does it have to be gambling? Why do I have to roll for things I have
Would you rather
safety
me?
nets
Would
for?
you rather me roll for it?
I mean, considering I have multiple people and safety nets, but
Mhm.
through capitalism,
Keep
I don't
talking.
think it should all hinge
Uh-huh.
on a critical miss from Darius.
I'm listening.
What am I
this
gonna
sounds
do?
like you just
Say-
don't believe that all of the company's value is created by the CEO. So, like, that just clearly isn't capitalism, buddy.
Yeah, true.
Sounds
but no,
like
I'll have you know
insubordination to me,
that
which sounds
my
like you're
business
not being a
is
good
worker
player.
co-op. My business is a worker co-op.
Oh, jeez.
Well, then
Oh.
that explains why you're not going to make any more money.
Gaming.
I'll have you
And
know
back
that on
to-
average, worker co-ops are more efficient than normal, similarly sized entrepreneurships.
Did you know that one of the oldest co-ops in the world dates back to like the 1200s in Sweden?
Really?
Yeah, it was a copper mine.
Wow, that's probably a good thing to have co-opted.
Yeah. It was also like one of the most polluted places in the entire world for a very long time.
Flint, Michigan
One of the key defining characteristics of the town nearby was the constant black plume of smoke in the sky. Because what they would
Sounds
do
like a
is
mining town.
they'd go down and they'd light fires underneath the rocks to make it brittle, and then ship it away the next day. And do that over and over and over again. There was a thriving alcohol scene, as I'm sure
That
you can
is
imagine.
an extra amount of stuff to do right there.
Mm-hmm. It's now a
hey.
UNESCO World Heritage Site, if I recall correctly.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is out.
What?
Alright, anyway, we ready to get back into it?
No.
Is
Too
Lonk here?
bad.
Okay.
I
yes.
am in fact here. Lonk is here.
Lonk.
Lonk has arrived. Bonk the
Lonk.
Lonk.
All I'm
Alright,
saying
Darius
is
would.
Darius is on that Sigma grind side.
which you
That's all I wanted to
prefer,
say.
Lonk, Door, or Hoff?
Door. Fucking door.
Door.
Why are you fucking a door?
Hey. PG-13. This is Twitch.
TOS,
We're
TOS.
allowed one. We're allowed one F-bomb.
Yeah. That's why I was clarifying that we're not allowed
Okay.
anymore.
Per second.
Oh shit.
Did you just say one F-bomb per second?
Yes.
I would love
And it is mandatory. It is not optional. It is mandatory. You have already failed.
And it has to be beat based.
The police
You
are
have to make a
coming
call.
to your house already. Don't
police
you
coming?
dare say it. Yeah, he said it.
How could they be coming to my house? They're coming to your house. That's where I am. I'm in your walls.
I'm in your walls.
Anyway. I have sent the necessary info for the legend lores.
I'm saying that we will handle that another time.
Yep.
Okay. And you two should probably specifically talk about it more in depth.
Yep.
Anyway,
I like pineapples on cakes.
nice. I hope the entities you contact do not.
Do not.
It is the morning of
Like
the speech.
pineapples.
There's already a great hustle and bustle as the town gets ready, as this is one of the few days where most of the common folk are allowed into the upper quarter.
Vermilion, are you going to be alright for this? Or do you want to stay out of it?
I need to be there. I need to
Let's-
know.
I want to clarify what he says, and he turns at him and looks at him dead in the eye. Can you control yourself?
He looks at you very angrily and he says, "Yes."
Good.
I would not have asked this if you had not already proved me wrong in expecting that you could.
And Rifter snaps, like physically snaps his fingers, and I say, "Hey, we like each other back then. Now I care about you."
I think he was referring to a couple days ago.
Oh, that. Oh, then.
I'm not concerned with how it affects us at this point. I'm concerned with how it affects you. You literally almost died.
My time will come with them. Philip was more expedient. This can wait.
I'm afraid
Good.
I quite simply did not ask. I don't care.
Darius asks. Also, Darius, who asked?
No, he didn't ask whether or not he wants to die.
Based. By the way, is the stream back up?
Yeah, it's been back up.
Okay. Okay, because it's still showing the "Be Right Back" screen.
Yeah, but we have our audio on. We're not doing anything yet.
Rifter does clarify, however.
Sure.
He does say, "Now, if Pipestone were to just show up randomly out in the blue right next to us, I might nudge you and consider it. But this, nah, I can wait."
Good. With that in mind, are we all ready to head out?
I believe so.
By the way, would Lork have regained 2 of the hit points
He
at
would
the start of
have.
the day? Yes.
Except he didn't have any missing.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm stupid.
So it would seem.
You said it, not me. Zing.
I will just get that off my character sheet.
Probably. Hey, no, Lorik did get it. He just healed all 16 for no reason.
Divine Health. Anyway. Speech.
Speech.
I think we make our way there.
Alright.
Bitch.
Bitch. What?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Lasagna.
Whoa, you can't say that.
That speech?
Give me just a second. It's being slow.
Understandable. It is Roll20 after all.
Gaming.
I'm certainly one of those things.
We could, be on Foundry.
Mhm.
And we likely will be on season 2.
Likely.
Found my nuts, got him.
Oh, got him.
Ooh.
Got him.
I'm glad you were able to find them.
Yeah, that's why I said I've got him.
Big crud.
You make your way to the elite town square. There's quite a crowd of people, much denser than you show right now, as it's almost like shoulder to shoulder, kind of having to move your way through the crowd. In front of you, you see the keep, which has recently been repaired. It had been in a bit of a state of disrepair since the flames had ran through, but now it is back in its working splendor. You were going to say something?
Oh, no, I'm just typing it out.
I see. On top of the outing, there are 2 guards currently waiting. Behind it, there's a small overhang from which you can barely see inside to another room, as that is clearly the keep of the city.
Fair point, but we don't know that they will go wrong. Anyway, let's get in position to listen.
Vermilion and Hate, would you, the 2 of you, make me perceptions?
thing, boss.
Jeez. All right,
Duality of man.
Vermilion.
Listen, I'm better at passively looking at things than actively looking at them.
As you're looking through the crowd, you manage to spot one person who looks like a chef as they kind of dip in through one of the side doors of the keep. Full stop.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where could you point them out? I feel like I don't see them.
Okay, I'll bring them back.
Up here or down here?
Like up over here. Like they're not there right now. I need to put them
Okay.
there.
All right.
I'll just do it. Not that one. That one. Why is it not letting me grab you? There we go. You see as a chef kind of rushes through some of the areas in between the crowd and ends up making their way into through a door that leads into the keep itself. Up over here.
Okay. I'm just gonna move Vermilion just so I can see. Oh, they don't have a token. Okay.
Well, this is what the person looked like. There you go.
Let me zoom in. That way I can get a good look at them. Okay. All right. Seems like a gentleman.
Indeed.
All right. Do I recognize him, or is it just that I think that's a bit peculiar that there's just a chef?
You would notice that was one of the old chefs from when you were much younger. Well, he was much younger at the time too.
Yeah. Okay, question. Is he a head chef or is he like a worker chef?
He was one of the top two.
Okay. All right. Opinions remain neutral. All
Okay.
right.
In the absence of any words, do I assume the party just simply waits?
Darius is going to worm his way through the crowd to get closer to the front, but other than that, I have no other.
Anybody else? Amazing. I am going to try to make sure this music is working.
All right. Fancy chef man. He's probably spent more time in a palace than I have.
No.
Almost everyone spent more time in a palace than you have.
Wow, that hurts.
Let's try this one. I remember this one. So let's hope that this one works well for it. Oh, I don't want to have door at the start of my bot command. Did somebody else mind, oh, never mind, the bot is cooperating with me. After a little bit, two more individuals who very few people seem to recognize make their way out to the front of the podium, still on the flanks, however. There's a little bit of a hubbub as conversations go about through the crowd. Then Lillian herself makes her way forward as she looks across the crowd.
No hate.
What
It's
was
not
that
worth
about?
it. Trying to determine Hate's shot of just yeeting herself into a palace.
Apparently.
Listen, I just discovered they're in range of Firestorm, and that's all that matters.
Oh no.
Interesting. Was that all?
I think we're waiting on you then.
Okay. The next, she gives a bit of an introductory couple statements, like thank you for coming out, being very polite about all of it. She introduces the next person, Keraton. Schoonoff, you would recognize that. That was one of the people who that was the headmaster who was abducted from Korheim, essentially. Who he gives his introductions, his thanks, and then at that point, Philip himself makes his way out and kind of gestures out to the crowd. He gets a gentle but consistent applause.
Vermilion gives him a very... Vermilion's just smirking and waving. A very smug smirk, because he's 100% certain that's definitely not Philip.
Gordian. I'm not familiar with that term.
The Gordian knot.
I do not know.
The Nottingham Gordian.
It's the knot that was said to be unable to be untied.
Oh, the one that got cut or whatever?
Yeah.
I see.
I'm trying to be fancy, okay?
No. That is fancy. I just don't know about it. At least not by now. Then, in the absence of anything else, does anybody mind if I start my monologuing?
I'm just
Go
gonna
right
say
on
that at
ahead.
any point in this, if you offend me, I will click the Firestorm button.
Too bad.
Rifter is ready to open fire if that happens.
Lord is ready to physically drag Hate and Chernoff out of there if necessary.
Kinda based, actually.
That's hilarious. Hate starts the combat, and then Lorik's like, "Oh no, Rifter's gonna screw us," and it's pulls Hate out.
Hey, cast
Look.
Firestorm. Lorik, how could Rifter do this?
No. Hate and Chernoff are the ones being dragged out.
Oh yeah.
That's what she's saying now.
I could have sworn that's what I said earlier.
You did
they're the
say
ones
that.
adjacent
No,
to more.
he definitely
Yeah,
did still say
yeah.
that.
That's what you're saying now. But when the time comes, will you truly stick to your morals?
Yeah, look, Rifter. What's Rifter ever done for us?
Alright then.
Yep. It's a
He
goal.
comes out. Once the applause dies down, he looks over the crowd for a bit. He kind of gestures his hands a little bit, and his voice gets a lot louder. It begins to boom over most of the crowd, and he's able to make his presence well known. When I speak to you today, I don't do so out of glory, for there is no glory in words alone. But I want you to know how the world has changed, with you by my hand lifting me above. When I was born all those years ago, we were weak. The beasts of the past assaulted not only our coasts, but our homes and our souls. We never would go a year without countless children being burned and endless hearths razed to the ground. All because of the distant crown, we were nothing. They saw a land of hills and farmers, simply the source of our next meal. And when we needed help, no help came. When we asked for help, still they stood silent. When we begged for help, blood ran months until the thought of aid would even cross their mind. But in the reign of my father, Garkheim, we grew from livestock of both empires to arbiters of our own destiny. We grew armies and navies, forged spirits and iron. We shed fear and blood in equal measure. Garkheim had pushed back the Hyges of the Cerule, freeing the captives of the Cerulean Gulf and ensuring our freedom and supremacy of the waves. He broke the Shurike upon his spear and liberated the great breadbasket of Adela. With it, he filled our granaries till even in dark sun, we'd overflowed to the river banks. He secured all of the Coveran forest, the land we used to fear, crushing every stray monster until even Shurila, upon his crimson throne, grew fearful of us. Shurila understood what he had to do. He resigned his crown to the prodigal warrior, my father, Garkheim Volsham, ushering in a golden era the world had never seen. And with mankind at the forefront, he pushed forth and reclaimed all of Adara from the iron grips of the Pale Earthkin and the Twisted Snake to revive the beating heart of the continent, all for you and us. And he brought the world to its knees before treachery did him in. My father, great as he was, made one great mistake in his life. He trusted others with their words, not their actions. So his people, our people, you, fell victim when these promises went unbroken. The Dalmarev were sent to protect us from the sea. When the few half-dragons came, they struggled to even set a ship to sea, let alone protect us from the weakest moss on our shore. The Crimson Army the elves sent to secure our southern coasts. 3 times they attempted to root the shore out, and 3 times their campaigns failed. The fish remained persistent. The supplies of the dwarves, with their promises of trade and technology, snatched away before the anniversary of my father's passing. The envoys sent here left and returned with empty excuses. I made no such mistakes. You guys can go ahead and talk a little bit, since that was a fairly significant bit. You can talk amongst yourself a bit.
Vermilion,
Vermilion
nudges Darius and he says, "Oh, well, he's doing a perfectly good impression of him."
I think that this is where they call independence.
I think this is what they call manipulation.
Oh, when I say, I don't mean what they call, I mean when they call, regardless of whether or not it's him.
Indeed. Fair enough. You can go ahead, Lord.
This is slander. My clan did everything possible to protect this land. And he calls us that. I don't know what he's up to.
Classic secessionist talk, if I ever heard any.
I hope for the people's sake that isn't what he's actually planning.
Shooting off any input?
Hold up.
Schoenhoff is dead.
Shooting is dead, no big surprise.
Sorry, I had myself muted.
Rip.
I'll wait until the rest of the speech for comments myself.
Alright, and we continue. I made no such mistakes. I rejected the archaic principles of the Highborn. Mankind took our techniques to the sea, and in a wave of conquest never witnessed. After my first years, no beast has been seen in the Cerulean Sea, and no a ship gone missing. I sailed south around Camor and through the Dala, our people at my side, we burned down the kelp villages of the shore, securing our future against the merfolks. The elves cared little more for the plants and the fish that called that place home than avenging the lives stolen from us and protecting the children of tomorrow. I charged forward, birthing a campaign of knowledge, for I fostered the learning of the world. The Rune World, Shazora, Cosfin, Tavina, and dozens of others led us at a blistering pace to the future, all at my expense. And now, like Shirla, I understand the limits of my age. But unlike Shirla, I will not wait for someone to conquer our shores before I do something about it. And so I resign my crown to the prodigal warrior, my daughter, and ask you to imagine how the world will change with you by her hand, lifting her above. For from today, Samantha leads you not as an emperor, distanced from their people, but as the bulwark of the Volstrom people. Tomorrow she guides you forward through the piercing light to a brilliant new age, and farther still, she will bring you into your rightful place not just as the arbiters of your own destiny, but as the rulers of all destiny. Samantha begins to make her way forward from the back, completely dressed in full battle gear, blazing in the midday sun.
No.
Samantha, I'm honored to have you as my daughter. And kneels down, giving her the crown. The crowd is pretty uppity and pretty into it as he hands her the crown and she puts it on her head. You have a bit of time.
This would be the moment.
We should leave. This is going to go wrong very quickly.
What makes you say that?
They've expressed very clear sentiment against the rest of the Empire and against the Delmrevs. We're surrounded. We should leave.
Vermilion in particular, you're especially getting a couple looks.
So I realize that the crowd suddenly notices my presence in particular. I begin to just walk into the nearest corridor. I give Darius a look, like I look at him, I look to the side, move my head to the side. I've decided I've seen enough and I'm out.
Come on. Let's move.
Hate accepts Lorik, not taking her up on this offer.
Darius is going to make certain that his mouth stays shut, his eyes stay forward, and that his human features are the most visible to anyone.
Yes, of course. You notice that a couple people end up following you, Mr. Vermilion.
Well, in that case, I'm going to start going off into a full-blown sprint. And my plan here is to pass a corridor and then where I break line of sight and then swap into an old grandma.
You don't even need to do so. Like, you easily outrun them.
Okay,
like, easily.
I swap into an old grandma form, holding up, like, same shit, put the hood over my head, you know, kind of a menacing hood for a grandma, but, you know, sometimes grannies make weird choices. And I head back in a very old granny form, and I slowly walk.
Yeah, they run past you, like, not even noticing you as they whoosh.
And I walk up to Darius, and I pinch his cheek, and I say, "Oh, dearie, you were always my favorite."
He looks down at. I'm assuming at this short old woman.
Yeah, very small.
She's
Just
only
sort of-
you do keep in mind, she's only probably like a couple, maybe 2 or 3 inches shorter than Rifter normally is.
Which
He
is like
sort of like raises
hanging-
an eyebrow. Do I? Oh, yes. I can't believe I almost forgot. You missed part of the speech. They're getting into a good part now.
Nice, dearie. Granny needs to read her stories. And he walks. I look over at the rest of the speech to see what's going on.
As Lorik and Hate make their take their leave, I message them, or rather, I message Lorik. I'll stay and keep an eye on the other two.
All right, get them out if necessary. We'll be at the shop.
Understood.
And Lorik is going to make a very brisk pace toward the shop.
Hate is going to follow.
Samantha turns and faces the crowd, lifting her spear in one hand straight overhead. I know I have great shoes to fill, and I know you have great lives to lead. It is in those two terms that I choose to accept to lead you, and I don't do so as a tyrant or as a coward, not like Gaedwin. Not as he's grown to his cowardice, as he sits idly by, content to let our merchants and farmhands die to thieves and brigands, to let our people perish against the savage kingdom, and to let the realm itself fall to the Ashen Phoenix, even at his most treasured of celebrations. For we will no longer idly sit by, letting the traitor emperor, friend to the beasts and the inept, leave us to fend for ourselves, sending our men to die and attempting to assassinate our leaders. For once more, we will not only stand, but run headfirst into our righteous place in the Empire, and from there sheave all tasks in our way. For today, we prepare for war. And she, kind of gives a couple of hurrahs, and the crowd's obviously very super into it, and people
Darius
are getting
is
super
matching
excited.
the vibe that everyone is giving around him, essentially. He's trying to blend in.
Well, most noticeably, time to get the bad politicals in here, because it's time for a race ride as the two elves next to you start getting the shit kicked out of them.
Oh.
Oh no. This is why Lorik and Hate left.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hey man, when you see a bigot get elected in front of you, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, when people start calling you a half dragon, that's when you fucking book it.
Thank God D&D isn't political. Otherwise, you'd think I'd be trying to say something.
Yeah.
Thank God politics don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's a fucking politic?
I'm so glad that it's a fantasy game.
Granny Vermilion slowly walks
Yeah.
by.
I was gonna say, Grandma, this is getting out of hand for you. You should head home.
Okay, dearie. And I just walk back. I'm still gonna watch, but from a very safe distance.
It is bad. People are getting fucking murked.
Oh, okay. Do they continue on with the speech at all, or is it just
The
more
speech is
bloodshed?
over. They retreat inside the building.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The guards that are around do not do anything.
Darius just makes his way to a wall to avoid the shoving and hassling. He's gonna wait out the generality of the riot unless somebody comes and gets him anyways.
The guard next to you just kind of leans over. Certainly something, I guess.
Oh, indeed. A little bit more violent than I would like, but something needed to happen.
I hope they know what they're doing.
I do too.
Say, what's your name? He's kind of says, the priest is just getting the shit beat out of them a couple, feet in front of you.
He's sort of he looks at it and averts his gaze a little bit and looks off to the side. I'm Jake.
Pleasure to meet you, Jake.
Well, under rather unfortunate circumstances, I might say.
Yeah. Shunov, what's going on your side of things?
I am just observing everything and also watching Darius to make sure that nothing happens to him.
Okay. Well, nothing seems to be happening with Darius. It's just mostly the orcs and the elves and the one dwarf are getting the shit beat out of them.
Well, as much as I would like to do something,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the place for it. So
Darius is going to take out his journal. This inspires me to a poem, and start writing. And what he is going to write is across the page multiple times so that he could rip it apart. Essentially, small slips of "Our Hectorum is safe," and
Fancy.
close his book afterwards and wait for the riots to end,
Fancy.
and just observe until then.
Sure enough, what do you do during the course of it?
until something interacts with me, I'll just keep watching.
Alright, nothing ends up interacting with you for a decent time. Lork and Hate. As the two of you get back, you see as Duluth is packing up some of his personal belongings.
Oh,
That was unnerving.
well,
I
it's
assume we've heard the news then.
He's not even responding, he's just going through all of his stuff, making sure he has everything. Jake is helping him. They're exchanging a few words, but none loud enough for the two of you to hear.
Jake, I need to contact Executor Senek. Do you happen to know where they might even be? Where their holdings would be? This is something where we need assistance, and I think that they could offer that.
Get your map, he says as he continues helping Duluth, get a couple of things before,
Alright.
grabbing, Duluth's shoulder and just saying some words to him, in his ear, and Duluth runs off.
Thank you. I'm sorry about this. This is madness. And Lork does hand him the map.
He, kind of points at the location in the city where the keep is. And then he goes forward and starts making sure that the shop is well secured.
If Senek is in the keep, do you think that he's still... Lork looks to Hate as he kind of trails off.
no. But if we have things we need to do, we need to just take the risk, honestly.
We need to get out of here as soon as we can. We can only assume that the Barca have been compromised or rendered completely ineffective. We need to get the information we have and leave. I wish I knew where the others were. Lork is going to start packing his stuff up.
Sounds reasonable. The beatings continue for about 7 or 8 minutes, until which point large groups of the crowd kind of start dispersing and going down other hallways.
As the broken and bloodied bodies, he walks past them every now and then, sort of just looking down. He'll slyly, so how many people would you say are there overall?
Probably a good 15 total.
15-ish total.
And about a third to a half of them are probably dead.
Okay, a third to a half of them. So to any of them that he thinks are currently alive but unconscious, or at least to a point where they might live at some point, he's going to He's going to walk by, having probably before he starts walking by, having torn up that piece of paper in a way that like any onlooker might have think he just didn't like the way it looks, and start just like walking by, looking at them, dropping a small piece of paper and nudging them with his foot, giving each person like 2 or 3 lay on hands points.
I see.
And
Go
then
ahead.
every now and then he'll like spit on the ground next to them.
Can you give me a stealth roll?
Oh boy. Was
Gaming.
hoping that would be performance.
I mean, you put on the act well enough. Like, that part's convincing. The only thing is the healing part.
Heavy armor.
Heavy armor moment. You're good.
Heavy armor.
You're fine. You blend in.
Well, it's medium armor, but same. It's got the same negatives as heavy armor.
Yeah, yeah. And you successfully do so. I assume you meet up with Schoenhoff after doing so?
Yeah, he makes his way back over to Sternhoff. What a show.
I suppose you could say that.
Frankly, it's what needed to happen. And he looks at Sternhoff and like nods his head in a direction.
Indeed.
And I think we both make our way back.
Lord, Kate, the two of you are currently in the structure. You have your belongings packed.
Should we wait for the others, or should we make for the stables immediately?
Does that mean I'm also in the shop? Because
No, it does not.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
You know, I may actually have a way to at least get myself out of here, or at least to the stables. I will meet you all a short way out of town. And, hey, you can use the other charge list for yourself. Lork is going to use the Wand of Disguise Self on himself to make himself look like a Goliath.
Okay. You make yourself look like a Goliath.
It's probably better than being seen as a Delmarev here right now.
Oh, I feel like people are less likely to, tussle with a Goliath, too.
Yeah, and he's almost tall enough. So
Sure.
Disguise Self would work.
Yep, you look like a Goliath.
Hey, you can take this to become whatever you need to. Just meet me a short way out of the city. And
Hey.
all the others as well.
Nods, takes the wand, has absolutely no intention of using it, but does take it in the worst case scenario.
Lork is gonna head to the stables to reclaim the party's cart.
Okay. As you get there, there is very little security in the area.
Did we prepay for the...
You need not
Yes.
worry about it.
We did.
Okay, good, we prepaid. Okay. Lork is going to just kind of casually take the cart and the conjured horses and lead them out of the city.
You quickly make your way out of the city. Hey, what do you do in that time?
Oh, I think I was just going to wait until our friends arrive and then inform them of our attempt to leave.
Alright, a good 6 minutes go by, and Vermilion, as an old lady, begins knocking on the door, to which Jake does not answer until he hears the voice, and he lifts it up so that Rifter can come in.
I go in. I revert to Nox form. And I am snickering and smiling to myself with giddying glee. I grab Sarah's husk, and I just hold on to it, put her anywhere where we're going to be storing her, and that'll be that.
Question: how large is Sarah?
She's smaller than Rifter, so should be like 5 foot at the most.
Okay.
Anything else you do?
Alright.
Like,
I'm going
when
to
Jake
inform.
asks, like, what you want to do with her.
Is there anywhere we can store her?
He's clearly getting very stressed out right now. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, we can't just stuff her in a box. God,
I look at him curiously and I say, "'Tis a thing. 'Tis not a person." Going to see if there's any sort of crate, any sort of barrel, anything I could fit her in.
I don't care, just have her out of my shop.
I nod and I look for anything to store her in.
He makes way out of a barrel. And he's very disgusted, as like you can tell that he's got a lot of conflicting interests here as he pushes the empty barrel to him, and he looks away.
I simply say in a very genuine tone, "I thank you. I am forever in your debt." And I go ahead and I stash her in. I don't just like shove her in, to be clear. I put her in like a fetal position.
She's in the barrel.
I'm going to go ahead and cork off the barrel and start rolling it or carrying it if I can.
You cannot carry it.
I cannot carry it. Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to shout for Hate or Lorik, whoever is...
Hate is here.
Okay.
Lorik does not exist here.
Hurt.
Yeah, I'll come.
And I very carefully, like, help Hate lift the barrel. And I just say, "I appreciate it. Thank you."
We're gonna need to get out of here eventually. Sooner rather than later, but... First time fleeing a city? She says, just casually making small talk.
If I had a nickel every time the party had to flee a city in a hurry, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not much, but it's weird that happened twice.
Do you think you'd only have 2 nickels?
I mean, I'm only counting this and Chibalo.
Which also happened to be just a little bit under a year ago.
Yep. And it's not like we had to flee Soju Pem or anything like that. We just left.
I mean, at least one of us had to flee it.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, fair. I forgot the Rifter thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking about the more recent one.
We've gone from Civil War to Civil War.
Based?
Alright, anyways.
Yes. We're getting sidetracked.
Rifter, right?
I am going to go ahead and lead Hate over to the rest of the party.
There is no rest of the party.
No, we're not here yet.
Or to the stables is what I mean. Like, yeah, I'm assuming we're leaving via, unless my memory is hazy, we're leaving via the cart.
Lorik has already led the cart out of the city.
Oh
No,
wow.
We're meeting. My job is to round everyone up and explain that we are meeting a small ways out of the city.
I see. Once Hate explains this, I nod and I just follow her, waiting for us to leave.
And so you are waiting?
I am.
I'm asking Hate.
Oh yes, I'm waiting for Darius.
Alright. Darius, I was about to say, whoa, Darius and Shunhoff make their way in. Darius, you find that your keys do not work, to which he moves over and props it open for you.
Oh, what a wonderful transpiration of events. Are you sure? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to leave with us? He says he's like immediately like barging in, speaking, continuing, not stopping, not really giving him a second to talk at all. I don't know how we're going to do. Has anybody tried to break in? No, not yet. I'm sorry. I've just been bottling a lot since I've been out there. Are you safe here? Do you feel safe here?
For one of the few times in his life, he doesn't have words for you right now.
Do you want to come to Hectorum with us? We have a cart. We can reasonably move most of probably the stock we have here.
We would need to manually move the stock out of the city first. The
Wait,
cart's already
why?
out.
Where's Lorik?
He left ahead of us.
Alone? You let him go alone out there, a Delmarev?
He used, and she holds up the wand of disguise. Doesn't look like himself right now.
He's still out there alone, and what did he disguise himself as? He's too tall to be a human.
He picked a Goliath.
So nothing has changed. He's still out there as a non-human.
I would say that there's a very large difference between most non-humans and being a dragonborn right now.
If you went out onto the plaza, the bodies would tell you different.
That's just because of the number of all of the other kinds of non-humans. We are, in fact, all being targeted. That's not really the issue here. Lorik wanted to go ahead to secure our passage out, and he wanted me to be the one to gather everyone so that we can go.
And he needed to go alone. Why? Why couldn't we just have Strunhoff teleport those of you that aren't human passing out? We could have handled the rest of it, so you don't have to put yourselves at risk.
Hate just gives a shrug.
Hey, Lorik, what's that curse that you use?
Which one? Aetios or Korsaj?
Karshaj.
By the nine divine.
So then we don't have a cart. Damn. Do you have any freight equipment currently stabled, Jake?
I have two fold up carts that we can, but I don't, God, how do you do it?
I compartmentalize. It's not exactly healthy, but it lets me get by. You have two what?
Carts.
Alright, what are they filled with?
Nothing. And he moves over and he starts unfolding some.
I assume they're like hand carts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. How much of current stock do you think we could fit?
He's clearly not doing a very good job at rationally thinking.
Here, Jake. Where's the ledger? Sit down.
Yeah, he just props himself against the wall and kind of slides down.
Where's the ledger?
In the desk.
He nods. Can somebody get him water? There should be some, and then he just describes where water would be.
Yeah.
And he goes to the ledger. About what's the stock look like?
There's a bit of stuff that's high density and would be good to bring along, and there's enough medium density to fill the rest of it.
Okay. We can do that. Potentially... How much? He does a couple calculations. How much gold would he be leaving behind, taking as much as he could value-wise?
So, from the math that you've assembled and given a little bit of compounding that I've been doing, you currently have about 550 stored. You'd probably be able to get out with about 350 of it.
Okay. Worth of goods, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And then what does treasury storage look like, comparatively?
Treasury is probably about like 70 or 80 of that right now.
Okay. So that 350 out includes the
Yes,
70
that's
or 80?
high density.
Okay. Okay.
I trust you to write those numbers down.
Yeah, I am currently opening and finding a notepad. Jake. I don't want to make you go out there right now. I'm going to go and find Lorik, and I'll bring back the cart, and I'll see what we can fit on the rest of it. Alright? This way you can wait for it to die down. You don't have to go out right now. My. And he sort of looks around. Where's your mother, Rifter?
I point over to the barrel.
He sort of snaps, smart. And he's pacing around a little bit, like thinking.
Rifter just offers, mate, you need me to help? Carry something?
I will when the time comes. Yes, absolutely. Wait, does
There
that
is-
include? And then he sort of looks back at his ledger. How much does your mother weigh? And he's like just pointing at it.
Less than me.
And then he moves his hand to Hate. How much does it weigh?
Hate is like stuck between how the hell is she supposed to figure that out from having never enough that she could have carried the barrel on her own but let Rifter help because, you know, good vibes.
He sort of rubs his eyes. Rifter, can we leave it here until we get the cart back?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That makes this easier. Some of you need probably to stay out. I want one of you to
Darius.
stay here with Jake.
Is this your first time being chased out of a town?
No, it's not. It's the first time that we've had to move large stocks out of a town within a single day.
Listen, mate, I get you that you're stressed, but take a breath.
Rifter,
You're not...
Rifter, this is 550 gold worth of things.
I understand, but you're not going to be thinking well when you're all anxious like this.
And I was asking him for, telling you to get him water. I could use some myself.
I go ahead and I grab him some water.
Thank you. All right.
Darius, you worry about the transportation of the goods. Just assume that I will have home defense and defense of whoever is left over here while you're initially going out under control.
Hate, can you stay? Then you are staying here over the general of the store. Although I don't want you to be here if they come looking for non-humans.
Don't worry, I've dealt with this before, and I can pass for a very tall woman, and she holds the wand lazily in her hands.
I know, and I have faith that the disguise might work. I just... the reliance on magic worries me.
To be fair, me being here is reliance on magic, but...
I know, but it's second-degree magic, something from an item. Okay, I need to stop worrying. I trust you. I trust you. Okay.
Character development.
When Jake regains his head, give him a brief lowdown what you can remember that we're going out, because Forgive me, Jake, but I don't really trust you to remember right now. He says offhandedly, even though Jake's across the room. The hand carts, I believe, are stabled. If he goes through the ledger, are they stabled?
Stable as in?
As in stored at where the stables are
Yes.
normally?
Some of it is, but most of it is stored here.
Okay. You will be staying here later, but for now, you are the strongest one here. I need you to come help me. So, we're putting that one to work already.
And I believe that's the last charge on the wand.
Hate is very visibly reluctant to use the wand, but is putting Darius's peace of mind above her own. Why the fuck would I hide myself? I'll just fight them if they bother me. Energy.
All right. If someone approaches us about why we're moving things, the story is that it is just another shipment. Why would today be any different? It's still business has to go on. All right.
Should I delete the wand from my inventory since all the charges have been used?
If all of the charges are going to be used, yes.
Because one of them was used during the Kivas fight, one of them was used by Lork just now, and one of them was used by Hate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to go down to the stables. We're going to bring the carts here and load up the high-density items. I'll direct what is what. After that, we are going to take the carts to where Lorik is right now, trade off the carts for the hand carts for the large cart. From there, we will bring it back, load up anything else that we might need, get everyone out of here, and then I'd say stop along the town, its name. I'm in a high-stress environment where we stayed for dinner. We need to warn them.
We will pick up any stragglers along the way who can't move on their own that we can bring with us.
Aye.
And let others know as quickly as possible so that they can seek shelter.
Lothair, remind me the names of both the jewelsmith and the other person that works in the shop.
Duluth?
Duluth, thank you.
Okay, Duluth
I
is
knew it was
one.
a
The
D.
jewelsmith has already
This is-
left.
Okay. Have any of you seen Duluth?
Yeah, and with that, like, Jake's kind of starting to snap out of it a little bit. Yeah, he's leaving.
Does he have somewhere to go?
Yeah, he's
Okay. Okay. Hey, Jake. Look at me.
Yeah.
We're getting out of here.
He kind of stands up and he's, oh, okay. And he moves over and he starts moving stuff with you. He's, okay, yeah.
Thank you. Hate and I are going to go grab the carts. Can you start preparing to have things moved in?
Yeah. And he's doing so. We're going to jump away from that for a moment.
Hold on, I had one thing I wanted to say.
Go for
Rifter.
it.
And Hate walks over and whispers this to him. If anyone tries to do anything, their life is forfeit.
Rifter nods, and he just gives you a smile, like that was his game plan. So
He's been given permission to murder.
Dude, everyone's just giving Rifter permission to murder today. It's great.
He's good.
See, all y'all messed up. She was within firestorming range.
And that would have been worse.
Could you imagine? Places the crown on head, immediately hit with a firestorm.
That would have been far worse. We would have been caught.
Worf.
No. Hate would have been caught. The rest of y'all could have been gone.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave Hate in the middle of an angry crowd.
But yeah, DM, you are free to
Yes.
transition.
Lorik, you are on one of the bridges crossing one of the smaller streams that leads into the main river when suddenly you're stopped by 4 individuals on the other side of the bridge as you kind of near its apex. They do not get any closer, but they are looking at you.
Is there a problem?
You leaving?
Yes.
You staying out?
Yes.
And they're kind of just watching you for a bit. And they say nothing else. They move a little bit to the sides.
Lorik is very much ready for a fight as he proceeds to lead the cart further. Notably, he has a hand on the mechanism that keeps the reins clasped to the actual cart so that he can release the 2 war horses as combatants if necessary.
Fancy. Most notably, what's your passive?
Passive, which kind?
Perception.
11.
11, that's not good.
Yep.
Very
you get
average.
a bunch of interesting eyes as they look in, and eventually they do let you pass.
Pleasure doing business. Lorik breathes a sigh of relief as he doesn't have to go murdering 4 guards.
Yeah, we're about to pass those same guards. They're not making it out.
Yeah.
No shot. No shot.
Rifter.exe.
Darius is like hands over his face, like, oh my god.
I'm just saying, Firestorm's getting cast at least once today.
Relax.
The party has everything ready to attempt to head out for their first time.
Man, I remember when I headed out for my first time.
First time?
First time.
So what the party doing?
What the
Yeah,
party?
so Hate's gonna, smile, stride with the confidence of having done this multiple times, and just throws open the door to get ready to start taking shit out.
I would
Darius
like-
immediately walks over to Hate, like right as she opens the doors, puts his hands up onto her shoulders, and tries to move her to turn her around and walk her back in.
The exaggerated swagger of a human female. Man, there was a small part of me that was going to attempt an Irish accent as long as Hate was in this disguise, and I've decided against it.
That seems wise.
But it could have been such a good aesthetic.
Are we leaving? We have everything packed.
I need to
Somebody-
go through something with you first.
Yes.
You need to let me talk.
I wouldn't be in this disguise if I wasn't going to try to sort things out without immediate violence.
Alright. I just want you to let me speak first, okay? If anyone approaches, let me speak to them.
Also, some people can tell if someone's first language is Orcish based on how they pronounce certain words in common. A truly perceptive bigot would be able to tell my disguise anyway.
Alright, thank you. I'll take that as a you won't. Anyways, alright. You'll take one of the primary cards. Strunhoff, will you stay here with
Rifter and Jake while we take the primary carts off.
That's what you need me to do, sure.
Thank you.
Alright. Mr. Snake and Mrs. Orc, I would like the two of you to both roll me performance.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was going to say, you might not have seen this at the first look at her disguise, but it has vague scars around her throat, and she was already planning on not speaking. And she already has the disguise pre-made to look in a certain way.
So as you're leaving, hey, and the two of you are carrying some of the, or pushing some of the crates, two men walk up to you, hey, and they go, "Hey, how's it going?"
Hate looks at them, doesn't have like any of the normal like anger that festers underneath her smile. It's purely just deadpan. And she makes a noise that sounds like a slightly strangled gurgle, and then points to her throat.
Hey, no
And
problem, it's
Darius,
fine. You doing anything there?
Darius cuts
You,
his head in. I appreciate your interest in my employee, but we're currently working right now. She'll be back in town in a couple of hours.
yeah, sure. And he kind of moves out of the way and then moves back in the way. What's your name?
I will be more
There's
than
a-
glad to tell you what her name is once we come back from our drive.
Alright, I get it. And he kind of kicks some rocks and moves along, and his buddy follows suit.
Hate like waves at the buddy.
He kind of double takes for a second, and then he kind of steps in front of his friend, and starts moving a little faster.
Not exactly the attention that I thought that we would get, but nonetheless.
You successfully make your way to the rendezvous point.
Darius is going to clap his hands. Lorik, how good it is to see you. Why the fuck did you leave alone?
I wanted to secure our escape. I knew that the sooner I left, the better a chance I would have of escaping. And I figured if...
And you didn't stop to think what would have happened to our escape had you failed?
I knew that I could
Had
handle
somebody
myself.
decided to attack you and you, I don't know, lost a horse, lost a wheel, what would you do?
Fake employer
Even
one,
if you
fake employer
don't
two.
lose the
Can we
fight, even if you don't
pause
lose, I'm sorry,
the
Hate. I need.
argument?
Okay,
We
fine.
need to get everything back. You can yell at him while we're on the road.
I will chew you out later.
All right.
We need this.
All right. I assume you want me to keep these carts here?
If you would.
All right. Be safe.
Okay. And they start making their way back with the cart, I assume, or the
Yeah.
whatever.
Big cart.
Big cut. Man done.
You make your way back to the shop. You are at the shop.
Darius is going to do a couple knocks on the door in a very Darius fashion.
What exactly
Pattern.
consists of a Darius pattern of knocks? Just like a one?
I mean, it would be probably something like a if he's going somewhere that he knows that he's expected, it'd be like a drum roll with both of his knuckles and then one.
I see. I would imagine it would just be a single knock because that's the number I associate most with Darius, but I understand.
Yeah, if it's a professional
you?
environment, then yes, it would just be one. But when
I
it's
see.
something like his friends, he's gonna play it
I
up a
think that
little.
my half of the joke is going over your head.
Gee, Darius, 2 knocks?
Gee, Darius, a one? How in character?
True.
Oh, Lamau, that's funny. I
Mhm.
didn't get that joke. It
Yeah.
went over
was
my
fun.
head.
Yeah. Just like
Much
a
like
2
rolling
is
high,
over
it
your
goes over
rolls.
my head.
Yeah. You are in the shop.
The card is here. Is everything prepped to be moved?
Yeah. And
Alright.
he doesn't even, in an uncharacteristic show, starts moving to load before you even acknowledge his statement.
Let's get everything going. I'm worried about the attention Sloric might bring.
He didn't seem to bring much attention in the square.
I suppose so. Well, it's probably because he was with you. Alright, let's get everything up. And he follows Jake out a couple seconds after with stuff in hand.
Alright. The only person left to make a roll is Mr. Reeftar.
Oh, I have to do a
Sorry.
performance? I was planning on stealthing my way through.
Well, which is it?
that-
Are you helping them move stuff, or are you moving on your own?
I was just gonna be on a lookout point, like a corner or a high place where I can see everything. And I was just gonna slowly sneak near them, like be.
Okay, then you
out
may
of-
do a stealth roll.
Okay, cool. We do our best to avoid performance rules. Ugh. Oh, whoops.
What performance to choose?
Wrong thing.
Fraud.
I mean, it's a 27.
Fraud.
I have a high.
Fraud.
I have a higher.
Fraud.
Okay. Do you want me to reroll it?
Yes.
Okay.
This is fraud.
Red.
Oh, whoops.
You're good. 31's good.
I was really hoping it to be a red 26.
I would cry.
It would be red 25 though.
No, 1 plus. Oh wait, no, it would be a red 6.
Maths.
Just for the record,
Nice.
DM, if at any point we get into an altercation and it looks like we're about within reasonable aspect, if it looks like people are about to get violent, Rifter draws first blood first. He is approaching to do.
I understand
Okay.
the situation does not come up. The party has escaped the city with goods intel.
Oh.
As soon as he sees everyone safely out of there, Lork basically gathers everyone up at once in a spine-crushing hug. Except maybe Hate, because I'm not sure if Lork can actually lift Hate.
As we approach the meeting site, Darius is just going to just look at Jake and say, "I know, not right now, but once we probably get back to Hectorum, we do need to discuss what the property expenses and whatnot for the shop itself. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just want it to be on your mind." All right.
You have just left Korham.
Let's go. We have spent too much time here already.
Are we opposed to calling the session in a few minutes?
Not at all. I do want to play out the last few things, though.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
On the way back, I do propose that we make a brief stop at Gerard Martifir. I have to inform Perilyn of what happened. And it couldn't hurt to see what the situation is there now, and see if the Executor made it out.
I'm sure the Executor already knows, but I do think it would be good for you to report everything that's happened.
Aye. Executor Senek. See if they made it out.
I'm sure if they're an Executor, regardless of who they already know.
No, if they made it out of Korheim.
Okay.
They're
I would like
normally
to ask
stationed
a
in the keep.
generalized question.
Yes.
Are we aligned with anyone in all of this conflict, or are we a third party?
Oh,
I'm.
Hectorum.
That's what I was getting at, Rifter. I do think, like, yes, we all, well, some of us have connections to other factions in this party, in this conflict, but I don't think anybody is fully dedicated to any of the sides in this conflict. Well, we have enemies that we're fully against, but otherwise,
We're about as well involved in this as the conflict between the Savage Kingdoms and the Empire itself.
At the very least, I think that we can count the Order as allies. I think.
To an extent.
this isn't me speaking of grabbing for power or anything. This is just me having the thought of we're about to start offering safe haven in Hectorum, which means we're going to. Well, if we really want to do that, we are going to become a faction in all of this conflict.
We are a refugee camp, nothing more. And about is an inaccurate description. We have already invited people into Hectorum.
Yes, and I've seen the way that refugee camps get treated in situations that won't be written down in the history books.
Let's just say if we have to pick a side, we already have Delmarev guarding us.
I can ensure that the town is safe under the protection of the checkpoint and potentially myself and anyone else they send to the town. God.
So then, my next question is, and this might not be palatable to all of you, so it's just why I'm asking. How involved in this conflict are you?
Rifter raises his hand and he just says, well, personally, I think it's lovely that I'm going to be able to kill them all, sanctioned by the Empire.
I don't know how involved I am yet.
So this begs the question, and I hate to talk about this like this, but we as a group have always been short on funds. Profiteering off of war is one of the most profitable things.
You think that we could get paid for quelling this rebellion?
I think that it needs to be far less direct. We are already in a territory not necessarily in the northern or southern portions of the Empire. It wouldn't be outrageous for a merchant stationed in there to sell weapons to either.
Not to the Volstroms.
But wait, I agree with his idea, though. Paid.
If they don't buy weapons from us, they will make weapons themselves.
And that will tax their resources.
No, but paid to end this rebellion. Yeah, that's exactly what we should do. How much of a bounty do you think is on his head alone?
Probably a fairly sized one.
The only people who profit more than war profiteers selling goods to war are the mercenary companies that manage to make it out as one of the leaders of the next group of major factions.
Think about it. It'd be such a good advantage for us. We would have an in on the nobility, and we would get plenty of funds, I'm sure. Not to mention settling old debts.
Regardless, whatever. We need to keep moving. I shouldn't be discussing this now.
Not yet. We can discuss this more when we set up camp across the river.
We should be off the side of the river as well. We don't know what kind of traffic will come through here.
Agreed.
The party
Although we
sets up
might
goal
want
on the
to.
first night. Sets up camp on the first night.
Hate will periodically head a little bit closer to the main path just to see if anyone's passing through. Mostly because yes, we were trying to move away from them, but also most of the people running away right now would be the kind of refugees we're trying to get.
You take a watch for it, and unfortunately there is far less traffic than you would have hoped.
Darius, I know you disagreed with my choice, but hear me out for one moment, please.
You have my ear.
I was worried that in the chaos of the riots, they would damage or steal the cart outright, and we would have no way out. I figured if one of the horses was injured or damaged, we could just resummon them after we got out of the town.
So why do you think that a cart alone is more likely to be damaged than a cart with a non-human heading it?
Because it's abandoned. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty with words at the moment. Abandoned property, in my experience, is seen as an easy mark in this sort of thing. And when I got there, pretty much the entire stables were abandoned.
Rourke, you're misunderstanding utter chaos and inspired chaos. These people, this city isn't lawless right now.
I know.
People aren't breaking into places and stealing random things. It's targeted crime. It's targeted against non-humans. Nobody would have gone to the stables. You only risked yourself. Please at least wait for all of us to be there to discuss. Next time something like this happens, if the cart breaks, we have other options. We don't have options if you break.
Alright then. I apologize. I panicked a bit this.
I know, I did too.
When I
Laura.
listened to that. We're out though. We're safe.
As far as I'm concerned, we're not safe until we're out of the Volstrom territories.
We're safe for now, at least. We can handle each other moment as it comes.
Alright.
Let's get some rest. I'll take first watch. I need to settle down after all that.
I think I do too. I think we can all use sleep, however much we can get.
Who wants to take the other watches?
I'll do it.
I think one of us can sleep the entire night through. Sternhoff, would you like that?
Can you repeat that?
Lork was saying one of us can sleep the entire night through. Would you like that, Sternhoff?
If it's being offered to me and you don't need my help keeping watch, then I suppose I'll take it.
So we've got myself first, then Rifter second, Darius, Hate.
I'll go whenever you need me.
Alright. So that just leaves you then, Hate. When would you like to go on watch?
Hideous Maximus.
Hate is dead.
No big surprise.
Let us assume
Oh wow,
that
I
she
forgot I
did.
was. I said fourth, and specifically because if we all still take if we all take 3-hour watches, that's still a full watch for me.
Oh, we were gonna do 2-hour watches since it's 8 hours of sleep, right?
4 people with 3-hour watches, it's fine.
Yeah. So is the fourth person just watching as we head out on the road?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, yeah, it's 8 hours of sleep, but those 8 hours doesn't include when you're like, on watch.
Yeah, that's why it has to, well, it doesn't have to be 3, it has to be
Oh no, because a long rest can be is 8 hours total with a minimum of 6 hours of sleep.
Okay, and do you remember the whole thing about how time works in this world?
Yeah.
There's more hours in a day.
Right.
Night is much longer.
Okay, so 2.5-hour watches then.
Sure. Numbers don't matter. The point is days are and nights are longer, right?
Yep.
I should probably I'll canonize those rules for the campaign too.
Alright.
Rad.
All right. Anything else?
Man, it's real sad that I didn't get to use Firestorm.
It's so sad Hate died of Ligma.
Who the hell is
Who's
hate?
hate?
Hate my balls.
Why do you hate your balls?
Because they bring me nothing but pain. Every day I wake up and they're still there.
Trans.
What did you do with my balls, Summer?
What did you do with my balls, John?
Rifter doesn't, however, does not pass up the opportunity to be snarky / criticize the Delmarebs, and he just says, "Well, I really hope that your boy Parolin was at least smart enough to see this very obvious outcome coming."
I hope so too. And I hope that Senek didn't, God.
Who is their nominus?
Would Lork know who the Barca Nominus was?
You would. I don't on me, but I'll pull it
Lork
up.
conveys that information.
Yeah. Delmareb info.
Because he didn't actually write down the Nominus, or Nomini?
Nomini.
Beep boop.
He just wrote the executors down.
Well, I was really confused for a moment because I'm like, I thought that was correct, but apparently, yeah, it's Senek. You're right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I
How
was
do you
like,
do that?
that's what I thought it was, and I'm like, the fact that you're saying it, but then you are asking what it is, made me think I was doubtful. So yeah, when you're asking about if Senek's okay, well, that's why.
Yep.
Because there. Oh no, wait, you're asking about the Nominus. Oh,
You're asking who the nominus is.
no, you don't know who the Nominus is.
Okay.
Nominus is not normally public outside of the order, outside of each group. Beyond a few explicit individuals, such as executors.
I'm afraid that I don't actually know. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I just wanted to know who would be the potential of the next in line.
At the very least, I think that we can count the Barca among our allies.
Hopefully.
There's no way that they would align themselves with this.
Not that they would align themselves with this, no. I'm just saying hopefully we're assuming that the Northern Empire is our allies in this to begin with.
So perhaps it is for the best then that Senek would be in danger or have perished. Because
It
then we could use
refocuses
his...
their attention.
Yes, we could I hate to say it like this, but his death could serve as a rallying point for the entire clan.
Aye. I'm just worried in this war if El Hectorum might be a garrisoning point for both of the parties involved, considering in that incredible speech they seem to be calling to arms the invasion of the Savage Kingdoms.
Which is suicide, as we've seen over all these past few wars.
That won't stop them from trying to garrison that entire area before a full-on invasion.
Well, perhaps that's another reason to go to Gerard Martevere. We can convince him to expand the checkpoint into a full-on garrison.
Aye.
I hate to put ourselves under more Delmer scrutiny, but
It's better than the human supremacist.
By the by, we should
Okay.
probably make some sort of, address to the public, some sort of rallying speech, cry to the common folk. They're going to be involved in this mess one way or another. They best be unified.
Varys, do you feel up to it?
I can't tell you whether I am or I'm not right now. I need time to process this.
That was an unfair question to ask. We can figure it out.
I'll bloody do it.
I'm more than happy to try and help, but we don't even know if that's something that will necessarily help right now. We need an information structure first. We need to know what's happening.
Aye. This is a vain hope, but maybe we could convince them that the various thieves guilds and other similar organizations, along with the legendary assassin Rifter, could be a valuable ally in this war.
Rifter
I worry.
smiles a very bright, very, very pleased smile, and he just says, "The legendary assassin Rifter."
I wonder if this is a point in which the allegiance and whether or not the Delmarevs know of Rifter might change.
That was my thoughts exactly. Perhaps we could begin a search for Rifter as an ally. And we're still speaking too soon.
You
We need
know,
to find out what the situation is at Gerard Martevere.
come to think of it, hopefully I can find some way to get myself pardoned. I mean, think about it. I did
That was
technically
my
kill
thought.
it.
And then he holds up a finger. But on record, you also killed multiple Demarevs.
Well, technically, and he goes, I believe I'm more in trouble for the whole attempted assassination. On the record,
You
he's still alive.
You fully assassinated those four Subtilitas, some of which have siblings that are stationed in Hectorum.
As
You're
a
right.
counterpoint, the four in that caravan were
All
they
I'm
were not
saying is it's
Subtilitas.
going to be more complicated than just having him join us.
Right. I was just posing it as an idea.
Aye, and it is a reasonable idea to consider.
Let's get some sleep and get back on the road. We need to get out there as soon as we can.
I agree.
See?
I would say that's pretty reasonable.
Anything else anyone would like to do or say in character before closing statements?
I'm never putting on a disguise again.
I hope you do. Man, good on them for shooting their shot, I guess. Who would like to do the outro? No?
Bye.
Wow, what an outro.
Bye.
Golden, I haven't heard you do an outro. Would you like to do one? Tell us to suck our own dicks?
Thank you for watching the Hectorum podcast. If you want to see more of our videos, go to patreon.com/Hectorum. We have
For
our
legal
mini
reasons, that is a
sessions
joke.
posted there that occur every Monday and Thursday, and we'll see you next week on Friday.
Man,
For legal
can you
reasons, this is a
imagine?
joke.
Can you imagine how hype it's gonna be if we get big enough to actually like have that shit?
Clarification, none of these exist.
Like,
Yeah.
just imagine for a second, our Hectorum gets big enough that we all get to retire from our jobs and make this our full-time shit.
It'll never happen.
Like, that's never gonna happen. God,
Somebody once
that was
told
such
me
a
the
bad.
world
That was such a bad
gonna
imitation.
roll me.
Like, that's never gonna happen.